All right, everyone. Hello, hello. Welcome all to our special 117% TAS retrospective stream. This is going to be an exciting one. This TAS first was created in late 2014 by Nitrof. We're going to be lucky enough today to have him here with us alongside Nerf to commentate over this task. This task is really fun and exciting and wild, and I'm just going to hand it on over to Nitrof himself, and we're going to get right into this.
Hello, everyone. How's everyone doing? All right. I still see the black screen on stream, but I'm streaming something already. So, okay, it's showing up and not. Okay, so it's showing up only when it's moving, or something. Wait, what's
It
going on?
looked like it was flickering there. It's a bit weird.
Hold on. Okay, we got it going. All right. Uh, yeah. So technically, I should have told you to start the timer already, but I guess we're going to start at RTA because why not? Um, Not much to say. This task, as a reminder, was completed 7.5 years ago, late 2014. We're probably going to go over a bit of the history of how we got to this point at some point. But for now, I'm going to go on a limb and say not everyone in chat assumes that not everyone in chat knows exactly what 117 is about. That's probably entirely false. But the goal of the category is to collect everything, basically. There's 15,000 gems, 149 eggs, 4 bosses before you get to the final area, super bonus run. And once you get to super bonus round, you collect another 5,000 gems and 1 egg to achieve 117%. Timer should have. Okay, timer started. Good. All right. So, yeah, I am joined today by Nerf, who will be helping with the commentary for this. I plan on this to be like very much informal. We're going to explain a few things as we go, but since it's mostly like a retrospective type thing, this is mostly about looking back on the good times.
Yeah, hopefully we'll find some use for me.
Right. So, this task, the process of making this task, it started April 2013, if I remember correctly. It was done on an old emulator, PS6 Gen, which at the time was the only PlayStation tasking emulator allowed on tasvideos.com. I started the task knowing that there was like a 99.9% chance I was going to encounter piracy protection stuff while working on it. In fact, I did encounter piracy protection, like only a bit past the first homeworld, suddenly barred by a closed door where the door was supposed to be open. That was a bit of a bummer. That was about a few months of work, and that essentially led to a whole back and forth with a guy called Hyperbug, who decided to help me out. He was knowledgeable in emulators. He was knowledgeable in, how stuff work and piracy protection and everything. So he was really like godsend to be able to complete this task. Because without him, I wouldn't have been able to get anywhere near where we are now.
Was
So
he someone on test videos or just a guy you knew?
it was a guy that basically followed me and was there in chat a few times, just watching me and decided to help out. Don't think he was on TAS videos, and I haven't heard from him for a very long time, but still, like, major shout out to him. Without his help, we wouldn't have been able to get this here. So what he did was essentially investigate the emulator, figure out what in the emulator caused the problem, the piracy protection to be triggered, and eventually found the problem, made a fix, made a quick build of the emulator, And with a little bit of insistence, we were able to get TAS videos to approve of the emulator for the specific TAS here. So this test was played on a build of the emulator that was never official, never released, but nevertheless, here we are. It was approved, and we are, well, 7.5 years later, we can watch it back and say, wow, this was completed. And it took, I want to say nothing short of a miracle, but truly, like, I could have waited just another year and BizHawk would have been released and would have had the TAS on BizHawk instead. But here we are.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I don't know how much work you had to go through to make it work.
Another funny thing is, after the new emulator was released, basically everything emulated very, very slightly differently. Like, not to a point where it'd be noticeable to the naked eye, but the none of my inputs synced up. So when I finally got my hand on the working build, I decided to start over. So what you're seeing there, this Sunny Villa is not my first attempt at Sunny Villa. That's my second attempt at Sunny Villa. In fact, if you go through my old YouTube videos, you can see the old work in progress videos and compare it to the new ones. And there's some very interesting differences. And maybe you won't notice either, but as a real-time player, even back then, I was already doing what, basically I was already doing fast skid turns. Those are achieved basically by releasing charge and then holding back on the D-pad. And then when doing that, you can skid turn faster and you can skid turn in either direction, however you want. If you actually hold down on the D-pad before stepping to charge, the skid turn is going to be slower, and I think it's always going to turn to the left. And believe it or not, I didn't really realize that while TASing until midway through Molten Crater the first time. So having to restart there was an opportunity for me to just apply the new stuff we discovered. And the new stuff we discovered, that apply more TASing techniques, more of my TASing knowledge to the TAS to get something that was already significantly better. I don't really have a figure of how much time I saved by redoing the first quarter of the run, but it's probably over a minute.
How much
And that
more do you
just-
think you would be able to get off these days? If you were to remake the test like today?
If I was to redo the TAS today, I'm expecting probably another 2 minutes to come off.
How much do you think it's at from proxies alone?
I'm not sure. Like, this TAS didn't have proxies at the start, but it did get proxies during Seashell Shore. That's essentially the point in time in history where dead body proxies were debunked and understood, was while TASing Seashell Shore.
Yeah,
So
sorry.
you'll see.
As soon as you hopped into Sunny, I meant to mention that. It's like right off the bat. Should probably notice. Yeah, there's no proxying going on. It only happens a little bit later on.
Correct. Like, if this had been TAS today, there would have been probably 3 or 4 proxies in Sunny Villa, one of them to get to miles early, obviously, and a few other ones just to move a little faster. And that's essentially something you're going to see during the next 2.5 hours. What you're going to see is a progression about how daring, how much I will push each of those segments. At the start, whenever I first found proxies, I was very conservative and was only using it for tricks, mostly. And the more I went with it, the more I found out, more ways to proxy, better ways to go faster with proxies, how to conserve more speed, etc. So, with the coming levels, you're going to see more and more proxies used more and more. What's the word here? Constructively.
Skillfully, interestingly. Basically, proxies that you wouldn't even conceive of. Like, they're just so ridiculous and, like, unviable. The task is just able to, like, show you, like, what's possible. It's just really interesting.
Like a TAS would proxy on an enemy just to save 2 frames. if it needed to.
Yeah. Pretty much.
RTA, you would never think of that because, well, half the time you'd lose more time than you'd save.
It's hard to remember sometimes that this was actually 2014 because I feel like even today, like by today's standards of an RTA run, this is still like just really good.
Mm-hmm.
And I always wondered like why did it take us so long to really sort of match the quality of this like as real players?
That's a very good question. Like, it when I was working on the TAS, a lot of what I did just was so outlandish, like outlandishly fast, just too quick. There was no way perceivable that we would even get close to it because probably the only thing I had to base my judgment on was, you know, what, 340 record at the time, right? That barely got into the 330s by the time the test was released. For context, the record nowadays is a 252. So we got, you know, 15 minutes closer to the task. We're more than halfway closer to the task than when the task was released.
Yeah, it's really crazy. And hopefully we'll be able to break at least one more 10-minute barrier as well in the future.
Hopefully.
Much more than that, not too sure, but you know, we'll see.
Yeah. Getting my sum of best down to the 240s has been several times more difficult than just getting it to the sub threes. I'm not saying it's never going to happen, but like it'd take a lot to get to the 2-3x real time. 2-4x is possible. Like, I think we can both see it happening within the next few years.
Yeah, no, I would like to believe that, yeah. But I mean that's why it's so hard, right? It's the full-time job category. It's nothing quite like this in any other Spyro games. Well, I should probably say Spyro OG ones actually. I'm sure the PS2 Spyro games are actually quite similar in length for their 100%. If I remember correctly.
Yeah, I don't actually know. I
I'm
don't know
sure.
anything about Hero Steel 100%. I think
Yeah.
ETD is longer, but Hero Steel, I don't know.
I don't think I've seen a Hero's Tale run since Dusty was actively playing it, honestly. And that would have been a long time ago.
All right, so another thing you'll see in the task, if you're familiar with real-time 117 runs, there is some routing differences. And this area here, Sunseeds, is actually done faster RTA than the
Yep.
TAS.
I was gonna say this is probably one of the few areas you're gonna see that's actually probably cooler. The actual RTA run.
It's just a slight reroute that was made possible with the use of flame charge jumps. You will see flame charge jumps in this TAS, of course. Like, it was known about already, but the route itself wasn't even conceived back then. We didn't even consider it. So yeah, this is not my best work, but coming up there's going to be a little bit of a trick in the bell tower challenge that's going to make up for it.
Ah, yes, yes. I remember what that is now.
Also, no fluffy flame. I'm ashamed.
You activate the Rhinox must.
For context, for 2 years now, I guess, we've known that you can flame fluffy and gain control earlier. So you gain 3 seconds by doing that. So another place where RTA is technically faster, but yeah.
I assume it's one of those things that perhaps with a little bit more inquisition we could have found a lot earlier, but
Yeah.
people were probably afraid of it because of, you know, the soft locking on the
Mhm.
wrong window.
I mean, the thing is, it was actually discovered during the any person TAS or I guess not necessarily discovered, but you know,
Implemented, I guess,
yeah.
or maybe
Well,
just noticed.
the any person TAS, what I did is I used Fluffy Flame and then realized you could move and used it for swag, but it still took me a while to finally think about, wait, that can be useful in runs. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I was talking about there with a little bit of spice in the Bell Towers challenge, combining the 2 egg cutscenes here. I don't even know if it saves time, but it's cool.
I think it's one of those things that maybe you can actually do yourself if you really tried, but I'm not really sure
Yeah.
it would be worth it.
It wouldn't be worth it, RTA. I actually tried implementing it and I got nowhere close. It's pretty precise. There might be a setup that gets the thief in a consistent spot, but the thing is, the thief just doesn't stop running and then turns around at some point. So if you're just a little slower, the thief is going to be further along, so you won't know where he is, and you still need to like find him and flame him.
I'm sure he would have come to the same conclusion JT did. I remember hearing him talk about that. I'm sure he wanted to implement it in 100 egg, but yeah, I don't think he found a way. It would be a massive work to update the TAS. Well, I'm sure Nitrof would want to redo it entirely if you were to update anything, right?
Yes.
Like, in my head, firstly, and I'm not a TASer, I think it would be kind of interesting to, you know, like redo a homeworld and maybe like splice a video together or something, you know. But I guess maybe that's why I'm not a TASer.
Yeah, no. If I were to redo it, there's things all over that I'd want to add. The obvious first thing is redo Sunrise Spring, because 3 levels without proxies, 4 if you count Sheila's alt, though you can't really use proxies constructively there. But yeah, 3 whole levels without proxies where there is potential for proxies. You know, it kind of really makes me disappointed, I guess, that in hindsight, that when I discovered this proxies in Seashell Shore, I didn't go back and restart it again. But to my defense, that was already the second time I was doing the homeworld because of the whole copy protection stuff.
It would have been what am I trying to say? It would have been quite hard to convince yourself to redo it again after already going through so much trouble.
If I were to do it nowadays, like 3-4 times wouldn't be a problem. I'd go for our optimal. But this was also my first project, right? So I didn't have the patience that I have today. Like, I was going for a more of a showcase, something fun to watch, more than just a demonstration of what's the fastest thing possible.
Oh man, that flame. I mean, I'm sure you've tried to do that one as well in real runs,
Yeah,
right?
never.
I've seen...
I can't do it, RTA.
May have gone to like one time, I think, but
I've just given up and now do a charge, jump, glide, flame, hover, jump again, charge thing.
fortunately it's not too much slower in time-wise, but it does hurt the soul.
Mm-hmm. That little hop without a jump, I always loved it. I've tried implementing that RTA so many times, and every time I came to the same conclusion. Just not worth it. Also, a different bird route. One common pattern throughout this task was I came up with a route theory and just went with it. I didn't try something different. So you might often find that I'm doing things slightly different than RTA, and it might be faster, it might be slower. I'm not sure yet. But one advantage of this route was that we can actually, again, kind of overlap 2 eggs.
Ah, yeah. Sorry, I forgot that as well. How many times does it happen in this dance?
Not that often. There's not. I think past Sunrise Spring, there isn't that many cases of an egg just sitting around in a side area. There's 3 of them in Sunrise, and then after that, it's just like gone.
That's a shame. Was this before or after Double Thieves in Icy? I can't remember. Might have been before, right?
That was before. Yes.
Yeah, right on.
This doesn't have Double Thieves. At least I think.
I'm trying.
I
I
might be
remember
proven
the
wrong.
comments of people saying how it was found in a Let's Play or something, and yeah, I don't know if that would have been during the test or not.
Hmm.
I was going to say earlier as well, during the bird section. In hindsight, how would you rate your route finding abilities? I guess like, do you regret not spending like a bunch more time on the planning aspect, or are you
Yes, I
quite
do.
happy with the?
There's a lot that I'm really proud of. This one is an example. This just area, the way I do it in the TAS is good, but a lot of the routes I used was just like planned in real time, and I didn't really look for TAS-only alternatives.
I see.
And there's potential for them, like everywhere.
Oh wow. Did you steal that ending from the test and you put it into the RTA runs? Because I know that's what you like to do now.
Yes. Yes, I think in 2020 when I came back to it, I still had the route like ending in the same area, but I was starting with the baskets to the right and then charging to the gym to the left. I just never really looked into changing it to what the TAS does until then, and then I timed it when I came back to the category and realized that yeah, it's possible RTA and it's also faster RTA by almost a full second if I remember correctly.
It's really funny. It just seems so obvious now. It's
Mhm.
just one of those things like, of course.
Those flame charges are disgusting.
Yeah. I mean, we can do something kind of similar, and it's like it wouldn't be that much slower, but it's just the little things that it's like, man, like you can just never do that, and that's why we need something like this to really appreciate, the artistic aspect of playing these games.
These races also. Oh,
Oh man, yeah. Would you call tassing an art form, or is that too pretentious?
what was that?
Would you call tassing an art form, or is that too pretentious?
I still didn't get that. Sorry.
Tassing? Would you call tassing an art form?
An art form. Okay.
Yes.
The accent, man.
Sorry, art form. Yeah, people down under aren't good with their arts.
I guess I would. Like, there's a lot of expression to be had when you TAS. You're gonna get 2 people doing the exact same segment. You might end up having the exact same time for that segment, but it might look still completely differently just in, what you do when you have time to waste.
Yeah, right on.
Like, I'm gliding somewhere in a straight line. I might decide, add a flame somewhere or not. And it might not look like much, but like in the end, it does matter to someone like me. In the end, even overlooking that, in order to achieve the kind of perfection that we're looking for, it does require creativity a lot to look for the hidden, hidden tricks, hidden
Yeah.
routes.
I also really liked how on test videos it was a not necessarily required, but if I'm not mistaken, you get rated better, not purely based on the speed of the test, but how just creative and interesting it is.
Mm-hmm.
I always thought that was pretty cool that they really want to incentivize that, and I think they should, especially when you have stuff like downtime, just trying to figure out the most interesting thing you can really show while nothing's happening.
And this
Like,
is
how to
also
play.
like This
I
is
got-
also an example of, or this is exemplified by how this test got star, even though the optimization level isn't through the roof, whereas the 3 any TAS that was released in late 2019, that one was, optimized to a degree I didn't even know I was capable of myself. But that one only got moon because despite all the crazy tricks, there's so much downtime to it with all the loading zones, it just hurt it.
Mm. I'm sure people who are maybe not even that familiar with Spyro can really see that when you put this much time into a platformer, especially like an over 2 hour task, it's really a mark of passion in there. It's like hard to deny. When you just see it's like an 80% of a game, it's I suppose you really are just looking at it from the perspective of like how interesting was this to me. 'Cause I think any people who don't even play Spyro, I reckon, could probably watch this and be pretty entertained. That's
Mhm.
that's my guess.
But,
I'm not
well,
sure there's anyone.
I did get this comment a few times of people that didn't even know the game but were like really entertained by, and I quote someone, Spyro using enemies as springboards and the like. Speaking of which, this is the first level where you're finally going to see proxies, so look out for them.
Just got a little bit more interesting. I think off the top of my head, the first level I really like with proxies is probably Bamboo. How you're doing the whole mystery jar backtrack and you're doing it's really weird routes.
That one was really cool. I like Spooky a lot for proxies
In general, or in this task?
in the TAS.
Yeah. Right. Sorry, that was a bit of a stupid question. I don't even know what I said. So I know in the actual run we only do like one.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we could do more if we had the balls to do proxy to the key,
Spyro?
man.
but yeah.
It's not that hard, but failing it's like I gotta go all the way around. It's
Yep.
like the walk of shame.
And you can't even say like, oh, I'm going to, there's 2 crocs, I'm going to leave one behind just in case I fail it, because you need to kill both crocs in the end. And once you're up there, you don't want to go back down. So you kill one croc, and you only have 1 croc left to get the next croxy to the key.
Uh-oh. Maybe blunt bows will get around to it. There's a really cool walking during the egg thing there, by the way.
Yeah.
And it might be a little bit of an underrated detail, I guess, because after running 100 egg, which was my first proper category for, I don't know, like 4 years maybe, I would say I only got that twice, like ever. So
You
really
mean
not
you actually got Sheila to run and not just like run in place?
Yep, but only twice ever after like thousands of attempts.
Yeah, I'm actually impressed.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that
funny too.
difficult. It's not
No,
that
no.
difficult, but it's like a frame perfect input, and you gotta hold the button for only 1 frame. If you hold it for longer than that, it won't work. And when I say
That's
frame
not how it
perfect
works.
here, that's 60 FPS frame perfect. Because if you
That's
hit the
interesting.
wrong of the 2 frames, you won't get it either. So
It's funny because the first time it happened, I think I clipped it myself, and I had a couple people ask like over the years, like, hey, how do you do this? Like, is this the strat? I'm like, nah, sorry, dude. I just pressed the button and it worked. I had no idea what I was doing. I mean, I knew it was a thing. Yeah, very underrated detail. That's not a very easy thing to do at all. Do you think you would mess around with doing Sheila section there with Spyro? Because it is one you can complete with Spyro, but I don't know if it would be faster, but it would be really funny.
I would definitely look into it. Because yeah, you're right. Like you have proxy sources to get to the egg, and you can complete the whole sandcastle with Spyro, I believe.
We looked into it I guess a few years ago at this point, you can do it for 100 egg at least. So naturally, 117 full as well. It wasn't fast for 100 egg, but maybe getting all the gems with Sheila is a bit more annoying. Who knows? Interesting route here, by the way. It's like nothing like the RTA route for this run.
I mean, I did proxy all the way to the Bluto, so.
Yeah, that might explain it.
Full of Rhinox and floating mines. The only way to retrieve that egg is to defeat
Swag swim.
every single Rhinox in the tunnel.
Yeah, this looks really silly.
I forgot about that, but there was one of the Rhinox where I actually was enough to the side that he started laughing before Spyro hit it.
Yeah, that was funny. It's like close to failing, but then hit him anyway.
Yeah, that's just swag. It might save like a couple frames, but that'd be like only because of some turns, not because it's faster in speed, if that makes sense.
Oh, I forgot.
But yeah, despite there being like one very impressive proxies and 4 proxies in total in this level, that was actually one of the tame levels regarding proxies. We'll get to see some pretty crazy stuff later. But before we get there, Buzz.
Hopefully no cutscene crash.
So this Buzz fight is not optimal. I think it loses like 3, maybe 4 seconds over the new any person TAS's Buzz.
Where does that all come from?
When I heard the sorcerer.
First hit, for one thing, and also not doing the damage boosts. If you
Of
remember
course.
the new any person TAS, we get kind of damage boost and basically charge Buzz through the flames.
Would that have worked in this version? Like, oh, well, sorry, I'm thinking of the sheep coming down to get extra hits, but you'd only do a couple hits, right? In 117.
Don't think you do, no?
It's in the TAS, like you would be able to
Yeah.
do a few boosts, but yeah.
Yeah,
I'll
so
use the TAS.
you get there with full sparks and you enter Crawdad afterwards, so sparks really doesn't matter. So yeah, you could
Gotcha.
you could do it and sparksless get the exact same fight. Because
Am
once
I
you
right in saying the
enter,
80% TAS had extra fodder though? I think that's what tripped me up. I was just being forgetful.
I found
the fodder, maybe it doesn't do that on a hard mode, but the fodder dropped as soon as I got to green sparks. It's essentially the same as Crush in Spyro 2.
Hello, Spark.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I was thinking the in 117 you wouldn't have the easy mode fodder there.
Yeah, I don't know if it would
Anyway,
change
sorry,
anything.
I'm
Yeah,
rambling too much.
While we were thinking, this happened where we skipped the tutorial, but it was actually the slower, older version of it where we actually went to the second room. That version is actually super easy. Anyone can do it at home. Just strafe against the wall holding up right and you're going to make it up.
It's a kids do try this at home moment. Yeah, unfortunately, we did not have Drashed back then. Drashed actually found a couple interesting things in Spark Souls that we do in the run these days, but yeah, Drash wouldn't enter the community until 3 years after this was made, I think. Long time. It's really interesting on these bullet charges as well. It's like almost like you're not even stopping. Just doing them extremely fast.
There was a kind of intricacy with all those bullet charges, which was that sparks would slow down a lot if I was to just, send a bullet, charge, and then immediately afterwards, when I can again send another bullet, he would slow down a lot to like basically this speed here or something. No, that was actually one of the fast ones. But if I would just waited like 2 more frames while charging before sending another bullet, then I would lose essentially no speed. So, and also shooting in diagonal was a pretty cool thing. If you don't know, normally in those levels, you're limited to the 8 cardinal directions. But the TAS, by essentially alternating between 2 cardinal directions, just gets sparks to oscillate back and forth. And since I do that every single frame, then Sparks seems like he's just going in a completely unintended diagonal.
A little version of zigzagging, I guess, right?
Something I kind of do RTA, but not to the extreme. It's just like it's faster to go up than up left, then up, then up left, then up, then up left constantly than to just go up and then go up left. Just because during all those oscillation, Spark spends more time closer to the diagonal I actually want to aim towards.
Are you happy with the icy peak first?
No.
I was gonna say, I feel like every older runner at this point is when they see icy peak first in any category, they just shudder. Like a window into the past, you know, like the medieval ages.
When we didn't know any better. Because it doesn't look too bad, but like we know the numbers. It's several seconds slower. Every single route that does Icy Peak first is several seconds slower than those that do Icy Peak last.
Yeah, but it has all the hard stuff in it. I don't want to reset halfway into the run.
You'll see an interesting route here as well. This is one of the routes that is only possible thanks to all the proxies we do.
If I didn't know any better, I would have said this was your favorite level because you do a wacky route here, even RTA, that no one else does.
Mm-hmm. It's a fun level. I agree.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of it, even if I am a little boring.
So it did have double thieves. Cool. The first
does it?
version of Icy Peak didn't have double thieves, so that's why I was confused. Because I did test this level twice also. It's in Spooky Swamp that I got blocked. No, it doesn't have double thieves. What?
It really
Okay.
did look like it though.
Yeah, but Spyro went to the left directly, so it couldn't have been double thieves. If it had been double thieves, I would have gone forward to send the yellow thief backwards. Okay, yeah, no. This loses time. Madge.
Oh, beautiful. That's something we'll never do, but you know, we can always try. You can always reach our hand to the heavens, you know.
Oh, by the way,
Fortunately, JT, he in 100 egg leagues, he worked on a setup for a little bit. He can get like 4 consistently. You know, that's not terrible. This looks pretty cool.
Yeah, this is where the route gets funky here.
Yeah, that's actually the second time the bird has been stored off screen, and his death has been executed later.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the first time where, unless you listened to the sound cube, probably wouldn't have even heard it or noticed.
A little bit of an auto-scroller here. But I did do my best throughout the whole task to make sure that they were the least boring possible. So some backwards skating, weird camera directions,
Yeah, backwards skating is actually pretty hard.
as well as getting the camera unstuck for some reason. Dancing with the skater.
I feel like this is a section I've tried to copy RTA with like the downtime. I attempt to skate backwards, and at this point in the camera at the very end, I think doing it during it is a little bit too risky.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know, failing this challenge is just just turn the stream off at that point, honestly. Nothing to really say here, honestly. Just what a scroll. The roof in itself is actually pretty cool. If you've never looked up here, You'd have to stand on like this part where you stop skating.
Mhm.
It's a bunch of like icicles hanging from the ceiling. Let's jump straight through the wall. Oh yeah, that was your offline picture of was on Twitch, wasn't it? Like your stream, Spyro upside down, leaving
yep.
the area.
I've had that for a long time, yes.
Do you know why that happened?
It's because of the ice. I don't know like the why, but it has to do with the ice and basically Spyro being replaced with his reflection for that one frame until the reflection is flipped back around.
Huh. Yeah, that's really interesting.
Because on the frame where Spyro's upside down, the reflection is gone.
Some sort of weird coding technique by Insomniac, I'm sure. I'm sure it was helpful in many ways we'll never understand.
My guess is that it was probably unintentional and they found the bug at some point and they just realized that, okay, we need to fix that. Let's just flip Spyro back upside down.
The juxtaposition on our two explanations here is funny. I went with the whole mythological approach and you were like, yeah, it's probably just an accident.
So
That
this
is really
route
cool,
was
though.
interesting, but it's probably not fast. I basically went for something. This is a case where I came up with something that worked for TAS and was like, okay, good enough. Moving on.
Actually, a couple of things that went on there with that whole death beast, right? Might have been easy to miss if you don't know, not more familiar with the game. I mean, the whole jumping during the egg so that he fell down, and where you respawn for a Zoe is where you get zapped, like exactly where you get zapped. And the Zoe from an egg does not happen until a little bit, like after the egg, is it, or like during the egg?
After the egg.
Either way, yeah, had enough time to fall down during it, so that he would respawn all the way down there, and then he managed to do the exact same thing, jump during the egg cutscene, and do a death abuse to respawn back there.
And the funny thing is how both are combined for the respawn to be at the bottom of the next egg.
Yeah, no, it's funny. I feel like it's one of those cursed things when you get like really familiar with the run and you end up like respawning somewhere you're not familiar with, or you hear some dialogue because you made a mistake that's like really uncommon. It's one of the things that's like, whoa, it just really stands out.
All right, so bird. This might be very disgusting to those that are aware of how difficult it is to control bird. I mean, I'm disgusted myself whenever I see it.
Yeah, there's so much confident gem grabbing. It's just like, I wish I had that much confidence in myself.
Even getting that 10 later, like.
Oh man.
Sir?
You just really filled in as much, as much as you could do while the hummingbird was waiting to teleport you. It's just, yeah. It's beautiful. This is another beauty of the TAS. It's like when you're so confident with everything you're going to do, you don't even have to look where you're going. You just sort of move around and things happen and it just turns out to be perfect. It's impossible to really keep up with like everything that's happening. Describing this in real time, just like everything's being broken off screen. The projectiles are flying, the bombs are dropping.
I'm actually disappointed I didn't manipulate that 10 gem to drop, so I didn't have to collect it myself. You know which 10,
oh
10
yeah,
gem I'm
yeah,
talking
yeah.
about,
No,
right?
that does happen, doesn't it?
That green gem is in a weird position. You don't usually see it there.
It's probably the most problematic one in any runner, really.
You don't see the 500 out of 500. It's like, oh, did I get that gem? Just go right back there to see if it's somewhere on one of the 4 apparently layers it can drop on.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's like almost as important as a gym count, just to make like a mental note there. It's like, okay, just really pay attention, see if it drops. Okay, it didn't drop. Okay, pay attention to which place it could be, and then come back. I think fortunately the worst one is when it drops in that like mid-level,
Yeah,
and that's very rare. As far as I'm
that's
aware.
essentially why you need to pay attention to whether Sparks grabbed it or not. If he didn't grab it while he went there, it's like, okay, it dropped all the way down. Now I need to make sure that I look for it and, you know, spot it, make eye contact. It's
Yeah, it's
there.
possible
I'll
you can
collect
never
it.
even see it. It's very unfair.
It's just like far enough. The 2 points in time are just far enough apart that 90% of the time I forget to check anyway. So yeah.
Sometimes you're just in the zone. You just want to play the game. I don't have to think about this gym. This little section looks pretty much the same as a RTA.
Yeah, just more cutting corners, grazing the funnels. Actually, I did RTA. We usually drop all the way down to the red gem next to Bird. The TAS only went to the second step.
Ah, yeah, right on. That's cool. Have you tried that? Doing that in a run?
I've tried it, but that was a long time ago, so I was probably just not good enough yet. If I decided to go for it again, I probably could make something work.
Now that you've been through the training arc.
Mm-hmm. Also, cool use of a fodder proxy there, and also Sparks is busy with gems, so he doesn't even go for the butterfly. That never happens.
Yeah. An idealistic world right here. Oh yeah, this route is really silly, isn't it? I guess I forgot. And RTA does not look even close. This is a really cool level. A lot of downtime here as well. We're interrupting the enemy spawns there by jumping onto them.
Which is also something I'm still not sure is actually faster, and I think there's also some RNG to how long it takes for Sleepyheads to rub his eyes after you get interrupted. So, like, there's probably a second or two to cut there just in that fight.
Yeah, no, I know the opinion of doing that, even RTA, sort of flip-flopped. I think it was more popular to interrupt him back in the day, but now people just sort of like leave the enemies to spawn.
For me,
Actually,
it's mostly a case of, like, if I go for interruption, I oftentimes just interrupt it too early and have to wait for the enemies after anyway.
Yeah, that's a real buzzkill.
Also, unoptimal Firefly order. Losing 1 second.
That's a little detail I never even noticed, I think, when I first started running this. I didn't even cross my mind that you could start the challenge from either of them. I think fortunately... Oh, nice proxy. I think fortunately I just happened to pick the faster one without thinking about it. Yeah, this is a cool challenge. It's if you're good enough, it's technically an auto scroller, but it's an auto scroller you really have to work for. If you make more than like a handful of mistakes, it's pretty much over, and then you lose time. So
yeah, the way we do it at RTA, if we like miss one head bash, we can head bash again and still make it. But if you miss 2, it's like you just gotta give up. Give up. Make sure you complete the challenge. Go back for the gems. And sometimes the game just doesn't want you to head bash things. The most disrespectful thing the game has done me is like I was trying to ground pound crate 5 times in a row, just nothing happening.
oh yeah, I give this challenge no credence. I mash, jump, and triangle. Like my life depends on it.
These head bash are just for stalling, by the way. Ground pounds. It's not Spyro.
I feel like there's a theme in Spyro where sometimes the second challenge of like a two-part series is actually easier. And in this case, yeah, you just have to kill time. You can go too fast. It's a bit sad.
To be fair, I could have left some more things behind for the second challenge and like balanced things out a bit, but yeah.
Shout out to that little room, by the way. You can see
Yep.
that is the intermission room when you enter the challenge for the first time with Spyro and Shield top. They're usually stored pretty close nearby, like out of bounds.
Right, so there's gonna be, I think, 2 more proxies, maybe 3. 3 more proxies in this level. One there just to go a little faster. You'll notice I go like kind of the opposite direction as RTA because there's a fodder proxy right here.
Oh, that's such a cool route. This lines up so nicely as well.
Then I drop down, there's going to be another croc proxy. This is, by the way, the route we mentioned earlier that, like, it saves a bunch of time, but, like, no one has the balls to go for that RTA. Because then once that's done, you just drop down, get the vases. It lines up so good. Very interesting place to end the level.
You don't like it?
I do like it.
Oh,
It's
you do
just
like it.
strange
Okay.
to see it.
I can always appreciate a good chest gem grabs. Because when gems come out of the chest like that, you can't grab them straight away, unfortunately. So you got to do some really cool looking movement, I would say, to pick up all the gems out of a chest optimally.
I forgot TAS did this route. I think it's slower. I'm pretty sure it's slower. That was back when the midday garden route was like not figured out. Everyone did something different.
Yeah, it was just a big free for all. It's really funny to say.
I'm that fast. Screensaver time.
It's like, you really had to find something to make these sort of challenges interesting, because there really is like nothing going on. And,
I didn't
and
cheat, by the way. I
I was
started
gonna
in
say.
one direction and just like bounced it. As soon as I saw it slow down, went back 1 frame, bounced the cursor in the correct diagonal, and again, like always, just up left, down left, etc., etc. And yeah, it.
I was gonna say, I recall that from your original commentary when you uploaded this for the first time. I was saying like you're very proud of not having to cheat during this.
Just shows how easy that is. Like,
Yeah.
can move the cursor seemingly randomly and shoot at, you know, the right time.
Yeah,
And at
the
some
hitbox
point,
for it, the homing in is far too generous.
I was also able to be like somewhat original with those, you know, just all you have control of is the cursor type of challenge for the, what's it called? Entertainment value added. So.
The please don't close this and watch a different video moment. Actually, you know what? I have another memory of this task from your commentary. It's like, I mean, I've already missed it, but it's like you were saying, like, the first thing we do in Country Speedway is not the race.
Yep.
That wasn't a thing people were doing at the time, right? Just entering the Hunter Challenge from that. The
Correct.
race.
We were always going from the time attack.
Like the evolution of strats in 117 for some reason is always took way longer to really get there compared to the other games. Because like even when people did starting from the race first, they would head bash immediately instead of just charging and turning around. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
It's a special category.
I don't even know if it's faster if you hit dash. Huh.
Yeah,
Anyway.
that might be the funniest part of it, honestly. Yeah, racing. We love races.
But yeah, it turns out you can just like hold down left and mash square and you're always going to avoid the ring.
Were you proud
And
of
dash
your
is
mushroom?
5.5 worse. There you go. ZL answered.
Oh man. More effort for less time.
What were
What's
you about to
your-
ask?
Oh, I was gonna say, were you happy with the mushroom speedo time you got? It was a 125 flat. I don't think we commented on it at the time.
Kind of. I was more proud about it back then than I am now because, you know, there's been so much more grinding of races and time attacks that the TAS just doesn't have as much of a lead anymore. But it's still like nowhere close to what we can even dream of real time. So
I'm still happy getting 129s personally. I know what you're on these days.
127s is where it's at.
Oh, 127? Ah,
Yeah.
man.
If I get a 127 in a run, I'm really happy. A 128, I'm fine. A 129, I'm, you know, it's okay. So this was the first ever instance of that time attack route used in quote unquote a run. Let's be clear, it's a TAS.
It's a boom route, right?
Yeah.
My favorite naming convention. Saboom, Tuval, or Jumpy X. Cool little small detail there. It's hard to give up and to wait for the challenge to end, but you still actually need the gem to home in and touch you. So you can quit early, but it's just
Fun
not
fact.
instant.
Fun fact, I actually sacrificed a few frames in real time to something like that in Honey Speedway just to get the time attack timer lower.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. You know, I was tempted to ask that. I was like, I was thinking, I was gonna phrase it like, so I hope this doesn't get you in trouble, you know, with the TAS videos bigwigs, but did you ever intentionally lose some frames just for, you know, to look cool?
There you have it.
Did you do that more than once?
I don't remember. That's the only instance that's like right in my mind. Also, yeah, this is extremely slow.
Yeah.
let me get a quick video for you guys that you can then watch at your leisure, but there's a much faster way to do this.
Yeah, this challenge has gone through a couple of stages of evolution. It's honestly one of the more interesting bits of history with the run. I mean, the way you do this optimally these days is just, it's really cool. It's hard to undersell it. It's kind of funny that even at the time, that you didn't find the whole them being stored out of bounds. I think it's fair enough to have not found the you know, the power up skip, because that is really precise. Although, you know, in hindsight, maybe should have been looking for it. Hard to say, but yeah, I was really surprised that you never found the guys just standing out there, just invisible. It just seems so obvious in hindsight. It's like, oh my god, like it's like no, really, like they had to spawn somewhere, right? So anyway, I didn't mean to sound like hanging on you.
I 100% agree. In hindsight, like like I think about it, and I probably should have just spent the extra, 5 minutes to shoot everywhere I could. And oh, wait, I heard something. What's going on? Maybe I can shoot them up. What happens if everyone dies early? But I didn't. I just wasn't. I wasn't looking for this kind of optimization.
I wonder if that's a maybe we can say it's like a community fault. Because honestly, I'm surprised people just hadn't randomly shot fireballs and come across it. Because I mean, some of
Mhm.
them are hard to hit, definitely, because of how limited the range is to be able to actually like aim and move around. Man, yeah, you'd think someone would have just randomly shot one of those guys one day. No, I guess I can't complain. I never did. Anyway, uh, Bentley, first instance of him. Probably the least interesting character, although you can still do some cool stuff with him.
He's more interesting in any percent.
Especially in the 80% TAS, yeah. No kidding.
Mhm.
Wow, you didn't even have to stop to hit that guy, did you?
Correct. Just took a diagonal just sharp enough, or not sharp, but yeah. Yeah, you get my drift.
Yeah, yeah. Just have to kill the tiniest amount of time possible.
Like RTA, what we do is we just release either the D-pad or the stick for the least amount of time, and suddenly we don't get hit. That's just the same thing, but with a different line instead.
Yeah, it was also one of those things I would switch it up every now and then. If I would just stop for like a tiny fraction, or if I would just jump over, because either works. It's just one of those things where I don't know, I switched depending on how I was feeling at the time.
Yeah,
Okay,
so here
stacking up
comes
gems.
the, yep, here comes
Yeah.
the interesting route you mentioned before.
Oh yeah.
Already one proxy there that you wouldn't see in real time. Another there just to save a little bit of time, and the mystery jar stuff coming up is, it's also like one of the most interesting part of the TAS, I think.
Yeah, I'd probably say this is probably my favorite part of midday.
Overlapping mystery jar cutscene and a proxy, and then like that weird charge thing that both gets us quickly to medicine, but also passes over the room that spawns this guy in front of us that doesn't spawn otherwise. It just like there's so many good things about this route.
Yeah, I'm absolutely envious. I wish we could do this, like even come close to this. Question for Nitrof about gem RNG. Do gems randomly pop out from strong chests and you just adjust the movement accordingly? Or do you manipulate the popping out in the way that allows for the optimal movement?
In this task, I let the randomness do its thing and adjust it. If I were to redo it, I'd pay a lot more attention and probably would do some, RG manipulation to manipulate favorable outcomes. But yeah,
Something I was always wondering myself, to be honest, because the rough place of where the gems come out is predetermined, but where they land is not always certain. And I've always been
so
curious when
they
exactly they
always
start.
they always land in the same spot. It's the bounce after that is random.
Ah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
So like if you grab all the gems yourself, there's no RNG involved. You're always going to get the same outcome. But if you have to let Sparks grab some things for you, then manipulating gems to have like a more favorable bounce could help. I'll say don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure, but it certainly feels that way because yeah. Yeah, probably should do some testing to make sure.
You're just saving some content for later, you know.
Isn't this what? Let's start with something easy.
All these years later,
Jump
still
onto
finding out
these ramps
new
by
details.
pressing the X button. I'll show you how to do it once. Then it's your turn. Okay, now
This is maybe unexpected, but this is something RTA is actually does quite well. This whole tutorial
hey,
section.
nice.
I do think it compares like the current RTS stuff to what the TAS is doing here.
RTA, we do it faster actually.
Yeah,
Maybe
that's what I
not
was
for
thinking.
that. Okay, I think that trick there is. No, actually, it's the same because you still have to pass that vertical wall, so the height doesn't really change much. But this, the one we just saw, we do it faster real time. TAS does this better because you can like start turning early for the 900
Now
and
that-
land earlier.
Yes,
But
interesting.
we also optimized this next one, RTA, pretty much the same, and I think TAS might be like half a second faster to land just because of the angle it takes. Even though it technically lands like slightly lower.
all right. Whoever scores
I'd
the
need
most
to time
points
it.
in the time limit wins.
But yeah, TAS could easily like take over again by just adding the more optimal half spin thing.
Sorry, I shouldn't. I don't want to detract from the most downtime in the entire run. This is pretty much
Nothing-
like a.
There is nothing to see here.
Literally just creativity on display. Even RTA, if you like route out all the gems you're going to pick up, you can still have like 50 seconds left over of like completely nothing. So it's just it's a free for all here. Do whatever you want. This would be a really nice challenge to find like a force end on or something like that. You'd be actually challenged to do it as fast as possible.
Yeah, the strat is to play SRT. Just have 5,000 points, give up, you get the egg.
Oh yeah, they totally can do that, can they? It's been too long since I played SRT. I haven't done a playthrough since it came out, just like coming up in 4 years
That
ago now.
Thrash Master, Twisted Lemon, single front flip, and Nasty Nork all in one.
I think you're more obsessed with the getting tricks here than I am. I just sort of collect the gems and then just go AFK. Like I would say on average, like half my runs, I'd probably use this as an excuse to go refill my water. It's like
What
shove
we're really
Spyros.
missing here is a Super Thrash Master.
Oh man, you didn't do every trick.
I didn't even know Super Thrash Master existed until 2 years ago. We got a Thrash Master, just didn't get the super version.
Careful.
This is so sad.
I can't say if it was like frame perfect Phoenix, but it was a case of if I held X for one fewer frame, I voided out too quickly. So, like within 3 or 4 frames probably. I just don't know exactly how much time holding X for that extra frame added to the void out time.
I would not recommend trying to do that in an actual run.
I agree.
We've
As
both
crazy
tried
as it would be, if you fail it and void out, you have to start over.
Yep, it's a minus 2 minutes moment right there.
Hey!
That was a pretty cool challenge. Too bad it's already over, but yeah, you can go way ahead of the dog, and then the cutscenes will trigger randomly throughout the level. Well, not randomly, but you know what I mean. Just not what they're supposed to.
I'm ready to patrol. It's good to be back in
Now bird section. I left more to do in the bird section than we do RTA. That's also another thing where like I just routed something, it worked, I decided to go for it and didn't look for alternatives. If I were to do it again today, trust me, I'd probably spend a full week here trying different routes, leaving different things behind just to make sure what we decide on is the fastest.
I feel like that's the toughest part of being a route monkey is that you might stumble across something that's faster pretty quickly, but it might not be the fastest thing you can do. So there's a lot of time to be spent just really messing around.
For one thing here, one of the things that I missed was Dark World. Like figuring out the Dark World warp thing was only done again 2 years ago.
Yeah, the section in particular is something I need to when I play again. I'd need to take a look at. It's quite open ended. There's a lot of potential.
Here, I don't know if looking down was an actual camera manip to make sure the booger wasn't flying away. But it probably was. It's been too long.
Do you think that was better than just aiming?
I don't think I tried aiming, so...
Oh, okay. I remember that being a thing a couple people said to me when I was doing my runs in whenever Fanny was playing 3-4 years ago. Yeah, a lot of people saying like, man, why did we never try just aiming up?
It's like you gotta stop and sit in the same place for 3 seconds to look up, shoot, and then move again. That's slow. Yeah, man. You take like 10 seconds to fly up and back down again. This fight looks really cool, but in hindsight, I really didn't go for the most optimal stuff. Another case of like I just got something, went with it, got proxies to make it look cool. The last hit is optimal though, as you'll see. I grabbed the crystals right out of Bird's feet. Flippers.
I feel like to your credit, you did recognize that at some points that you were doing that because I watched you do the Twin Dragons, and pretty much immediately after you finished it, you said something like, "I'm not really happy with this. I can probably do something better." And you just started again. So I don't want to be too mean to old Nitrof. He was trying his best.
Yeah, I just wish I'd done that more. Like just, even if I'm satisfied, just try something better. There's always potential.
Get the new 117 TAS done. Oh, that is beautiful. You're just never going to be able to get that accurate of a spread.
I don't even know. I don't even get the invincibility there. That's cool. Guess I don't need it.
Yeah, that's something I've tried to do a little bit at RTA, is I just, even with the invincibility, just try to break them early just because you would have to wait for the gem to fall down anyway.
I tried that as well, and especially for the one to the left, the start, just like try to run perpendicularly when I get under, like look up, shoot a bit, and then do more, but in the end it wasn't worth it. It was basically the same speed or slower as it was to use the invincibility to break the thing on my way up, then go to the left on the gem on the left and back. So
that's a really cool out of bounds.
Also a case of like I went for it, what was cool, didn't actually time it probably as faster, but like you'd ask me and I wouldn't be able to tell you with confidence.
We're just destroying the mystique of the TAS right here. like, wow, this thing is like insane. It's like, how long did it take you? Like, you must be like an absolute genius. Just here saying like, yeah, just didn't time this stuff to look cool. I think I've got a strat here that I'm not sure you do. It looks pretty similar. I mean, like doing the fight normally looks pretty similar to how the TAS does. So I'm wondering if the strat I came across there would actually save time in the TAS.
Hmm.
It might do. Well, that's a nice little side skip as well. Forgot about that.
Right.
Shoutouts
Yeah.
to Passerfish, who would actually do that in runs.
Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah, so finishing the Sparks levels is what allows you to get the Sparks power-ups, but you still need to speak with Zoe outside of the Sparks levels to get the power-up. I don't know why they coded it that way, but it's convenient for us because you can actually escape out of it. Like, she doesn't speak to you immediately, you can actually charge, and if you're charging, she won't, try to speak to you. So you can skip some of those power-ups completely. So obviously in this task, I got the first power up because that's extended sparks range. That saves tremendous amount of time throughout the whole thing. But the second power up is Sparks Finder, sparks pointing at gems. It doesn't actually speed up anything. If I were to like run charge with all 4 shoulder buttons pressed, sparks wouldn't grab gems faster. At least, well, I assume he wouldn't. I don't think I've actually tried that. Yeah, so don't quote me, but most likely it wouldn't change anything. The third power-up is the extra health. Also didn't have any use, so I won't be getting that either. The fourth one is Atlas Warping. Does save time RTA, but wouldn't save time on a tasking emulator because of loads. And also Sparks piercing containers and getting gems out of them. That one was absolutely saving time, so I'll be getting also the fourth power-up. Also, not getting power-ups does not block you from getting the further power-ups. Yeah. I don't remember what time the task gets on this race.
I'd hope under 230. But maybe that's too wishful. I don't know.
It's certainly not a 2-4x. That'd be shameful. I mean, I do 235s in runs now, so...
Yeah, I feel like you put a lot more work into being a speedways than I did. RTA.
I'm hoping for a 229, but I don't think it's going to be it. That last lap was kind of meh.
It's a bit of a shame that you have to glide up so much after doing that little section there. Because the whole supercharge bit before that is really cool.
Oh, it
Ooh,
was a 229. Nice.
there it is, dude. Yeah, that's a really good time. It's like there's a dangerous allure to doing these challenges. It's like, because ordinarily there's not too much going on, you sort of feel obligated to like really push it as much as you can. And obviously that sometimes leads to like run-ending stakes for the sake of like, very minor things. Yeah, the way this challenge is done is pretty cool. I'm sure you can explain it better than I could.
Yeah. Okay, so you have like 5 free hits. On the 6th hit, the UFO just catches you. But The more you hit, the closer the UFO gets, and after 5 hits, if you actually jump high, the UFO will try to move ahead of you, and this test actually uses that to get pushed forward by the UFO and saving a few frames here and there. Did we already do the time attack here?
I don't. Yeah, we did. We did, right? No, we didn't. Oh,
We didn't.
sorry.
There you go.
Sorry, it's gonna go too fast. Also, maybe I'm projecting a little, but I play on 1.0, and I do the same order every time, so I just assume the test is doing the same order as me. Is always ending on Hunter.
To be fair, if I were to redo the test today, it would have to be on 1.0, and then I would be ending on the Hunter Challenge on all of them.
Was that not a deliberate decision you made to run with the?
We didn't know the differences back then.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Uh-huh.
Maybe I'm thinking of 8-Bit Beast when he did his Crash 3 TAS. I
That
think
there, by the way, that kind of clip on the pedal thing is where I lost time RTA to just like having to wait a bit longer for the gem to home in, but actually killed the bee a bit earlier.
Ah, cool.
Mhm.
Yeah, I never noticed.
Yeah, so you were saying?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, when 8-Bit Beast was doing his Crash 3 TAS, like before he even started it, he just asked people, he was like, would you guys prefer SFX or no SFX? And people said SFX, so that's what he did. He wasn't too concerned about the fact that it saved like a minute, whatever it was. I was thinking maybe this was along the same sort of lines where like you're willing to lose a little bit of time for more music.
I don't know, maybe I'd still pick 1.1. I definitely put some thought into it. But yeah, this was definitely a case of ignorance more than anything.
I think now that you already have a TAS that does have it, I think it wouldn't be a shame really to quote unquote downgrade. People could always go back and watch this one, right? If they want the better music. Anyway, that's a pretty cool strat. Yeah, shooting the fireballs on those two knights out there. I tried doing that. I mean, I do try to do that in actual runs, but the knights grow large very quickly, and it's actually a tight window because when they're fully grown, I don't think fireballs don't even kill them anymore.
Correct.
It's really cool that the TAS is able to not only do that but get a double kill. Yeah, some cool little proxies there as well. I think actually when I was very new to running, I would used to make terrible videos, and this is like one of the things I messed around with, trying to get a C proxy RTA, and I did get it, and I made a video about it, but it was really annoying, and I never would actually go for it. And unfortunately, Grant figured the whole current route with the boosted jumps, so it wasn't needed anymore. And hallelujah. Avoiding the rocks here. That's always been... Suburban always had my respect for him doing that in runs, gliding during that cutscene there. I was I'm still too afraid to do that. Oh man.
He didn't do that in 117, did he?
I'm not sure.
In
But he
117, you
definitely-
need the gem.
He definitely did it in 100 egg and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose needing the gem is even crazy. So there you go. That section there, by the way, the end of level section. I'm sure you have a fond memory of that, right?
I have a memory. Can't say I'm fond of it.
Yeah. So funny fact was he did that section too quickly the first time, I believe, and went
Correct.
into the side area, and the bottles had not actually exploded. So after doing all the passing of that bit, he came out of the cat area here, and all the bottles had respawned. Because they had not exploded before he went in. And yeah, that was... How many hours of your life do you think you lost because of that?
Not that many.
Not that many?
I did have to like flip the whole area around, so that was like a few proxies I needed to redo. But like you can say this was kind of a happy accident because the room ended up just being better the second time anyway. Just more proxies, better gem collection, things lined up better for the second pass.
Hmm. That's fair enough then. I suppose it's sort of like the moral of this whole task, really. If only I had done it more than once.
Just that proxy is pretty cool. Directly in front
Yeah.
of Benjamin and then dropping down.
Especially because the camera gets caught by the overhang. And it gives you a really weird perspective as you're going through it. Which looks really cool.
Oh, that snipe. I shot the jar to the left, to the right first when it wasn't even there, just because Fireball was going to get there later. Also another proxy there.
The section is disgusting.
I agree. I love it so much.
Funny how the mystery draft section seemed to incite some interesting moments. You know, just a lot of movement there you would not even dream of being able to do as a real player.
That armored Rhinoc proxy just for the... Yeah, well, not just for the show, but...
It's a little bit risky to actually do, but fortunately TAS doesn't have to worry about that.
Unoptimal homeworld route, by the way. Did honey first.
Oh yeah, true. I was gonna say though, the bottles you got outside honey were interesting. Might be worth stealing in actual runs. How you instead of doing a very slow turnaround, you just went like over the portal, so you never stopped swimming. I don't know if anyone else had this by the way, but when you were playing this as a kid and like you got the whale egg and you realized you couldn't go in there, you can only go in there like once a file. Like, did you even like on repeat playthroughs just avoid getting the egg so you could keep going in the whale?
Be
Yeah,
careful,
I know I used to do that.
I remember being disappointed about not being able to go back in, but I don't think I was ever wise enough to just get in without getting the egg.
You must complete everything.
Disgusting cannons. Oh,
Disgusting in a good way, I hope.
yes. Yes, very good.
I remember doing ILs of this, even... I feel like the biggest factor of whether or not I'd get like a good time or a bad time was just how fast you could do the cannons. And yeah, you have to be very accurate while also being very fast. And it's just another one of the highlights of how the TAS is just able to really shine when you can give it, you know, no mistakes.
Would you look at that?
Just allows for some really beautiful gameplay.
I wonder how I would adapt this route considering the
Oh yeah, there's no way that's fast, right? Turning around there.
Yeah. The way we do this RTA, we kind of get into that river twice, but get some gems between the two times, and it saves like 3 seconds with the single invincibility. The TAS does a completely different thing to save time,
Right on. You can use my
which is just like a very small adjustment over what we usually do, or did before the 3-second time save I just mentioned. You'll see it before we enter subs, just leaving some gems behind and planning for a proxy. Just don't know if you could like benefit from that same proxy while also doing the river in 2 passes.
And to this area, by the way. For the longest time, we did this the boring way.
Uh-huh.
Thanks to some people, can't exactly remember names. Sorry, but Yeah, we now do this in runs, and it's actually pretty cool. It's unfortunately not exact same.
Yeah, we lose a bit of time on every one of those tricks to save a bit of boost and also add some consistency. Essentially, when we're on top of the wall, instead of going directly towards the other part of the map, we kind of make a detour to the right, still on top of the wall, just like land there and then drop normally. I don't know exactly how much time it loses over doing it optimally, but it like helps making it consistent.
Mm. Yeah, this is definitely one of those things where when you're messing with something very finicky, like checkpoints, you really want to make sure that just nothing goes wrong. Because if you have to do it so many times, you know, making it risky for all the times that you have to do it, it's just, yeah, asking for trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can...
Also, yeah, the way another proof that this is not really viable, the way this is done is not really viable RTA is this uses so much turbo that I have to get an extra star at the end of the tunnel every time. And so you see me like have to dive down onto the wall and then back around the invisible ceiling. Yeah. Technically by like slowing down, we could have made it work, but the new strat just helps too much.
Mm. You're just really getting the most out of it.
Also, I always played this cool, like the whole, oh, I crashed at the end to get the last green gem, it's faster, don't worry about it. But no, it's a lie. I'm coming clean today. I just forgot that green gem until the very last minute and I didn't want to redo the race. So I just decided to crash there and get that like this.
Oh, man. There it is. Sorry, I'm gonna have to drop you down to moon tier after that.
I really didn't want to test 6 more laps of that thing. Technically, it would have only been 3, I think. No, it would have been more than 3 because I still needed to get that. So I would have needed to task the next 3 laps again, but also retask the end of the first race to just use the left path instead of going through the tunnel again. Probably. Also, this is the proxy I mentioned before where I just left some gems behind to plan this out like this.
Yeah, that's really cool. I remember trying to do that in 100 at one point. It was not fun. Fortunately, the whole boosting through the door like any percent does, it's slower than a proxy, but it was faster than the old route, so yeah, just went with that. Subs. Yes, cool mini game.
Yes. This is the most hated thing RTA, probably. Next to boxing. And yeah.
It's one of those things where like the potential is so high, it's just a human can't really capitalize on it. You give it to a machine, it shows you exactly what can be done.
That first shot 2 subs at once, by the way.
Wow.
Yep, only 6 shots. 6 torpedoes in the second subs, killing 7 of them. And I didn't even do the suicide thing. So, pretty cool. Collecting gems is pretty much the same as we do RTA. You know, just more optimal.
Curious which way we'll go. I know you've probably been a fan of doing it the current way for a long time, right? Even if everyone else didn't. So will you go left here? You won't. Wait, don't you normally go left? Or am I wrong?
Clockwise it is. Always.
Or is it? Maybe getting it mixed up. Wait, maybe counterclockwise is a bad one.
Counterclockwise is bad, yeah.
Okay. Sorry, yeah, I don't play this game. I'm trying to like twice maybe.
And this is my main complaint. Like the TAS has done it clockwise since 2014, and people still decided to go counterclockwise for some reason. It's not like this
That
was TAS only or anything. It's very doable.
that was my biggest regret, I would say, when I was doing my first like big session of like rerouting and stuff. I didn't consult the TAS nearly as much as I should have. I feel like there's a lot of things that I would have noticed and put in, but just never did. And so,
Makes
like, most
sense.
of my resources at the time were just the other good runners. And I guess if they were all doing counterclockwise, and that's where mine came from too. So unlucky. Unlucky.
In the meantime, Fireworks Factory.
Yep. Probably the most memorable level for me for the whole planning stage, like when it was actually being made. No particular reason really. Just I don't know. It is what it is.
I love that.
Pretty cool
area.
though. Yeah.
That room with the rockets is so annoying to do real time.
I think that's how I feel about this level in general. It's like everything can be annoying, but like when it does go well, it just feels so satisfying. That's probably why it's my favorite. A little bit of camera manipulation there. If you try to run out straight away, those dudes will just look at you, wait for you to go away.
Those flame charges are disgusting.
Yeah,
In a good way
this
again.
Is, this is much harder than it looked like. Because as soon as you flame, those guys will backflip, like literally instantly. It's very annoying. Of course, that is such an unrealistic cycle to make, I feel. Just being able to flame like
That
super
okay,
like that.
I think that was like the instance of gem manipulation in the TAS. There was a gem that never came on screen, and really, like, if you have any kind of spatial awareness in this game, you would notice that the guy that
It looks like
made the gem died very far from that point. But whenever you kill an enemy, or an enemy gets killed in general, doesn't have to be from you, there is some randomness to where the gem is going to go. And clearly there had to be like perfect randomness for the gem to drop closer to Spyro for Sparks to get that.
Yeah. Best room in the game, by the way. You can have this one if you want.
We zigzag, it goes fast. Also, we skip Hansel's first dialogues so that we save another like half a second later. Not much to say, just yes.
Don't blink or you'll miss it. It's really funny watching this when it was first came out versus watching it now. Watching it the first time, it was like it looked like magic. Really, I didn't really understand what was going on. Just, it was too fast. I feel I'm a little more jaded now, knowing exactly how everything works. But I mean, it's still much better than we'll ever do. So it's still cool. It's still
On
cool.
the other hand, now you understand how it works, but you also understand how difficult it is to control. So
Yeah.
it's a whole different kind of wow.
Yeah, if you're lucky, you'll go that fast and get a gem conveniently, like maybe one time, let alone the entire level. Jesus.
This was a case of I did Twin Dragons once, didn't like it, did it again, and the second time it just went so well that I didn't even bother doing it again. And this time I'm not mad. It just lines up perfectly. The only thing I might change there was like the very first shot I did on that purple dragon was essentially useless. Because if you pay
Oh, because
attention,
he heals?
yeah, he heals before the second shot. But I only noticed that like way too far in, so didn't bother to remove it. That final location couldn't have been better.
What does it say? It's a shame about testing, I guess. Like, to us, it's this really quick, amazing thing. It's like over in an instant, but it's such a painstaking thing to actually create.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's understandable when things slip through the cracks, although unfortunate. Did I cut you off? I wasn't sure.
No, you didn't.
Okay. crazy how far away you are on some of these flame charges here. I agree. Although I think the most impressive, like, basic thing that the TAS does is just how confident it will keep moving while also having, like, gems like Cloven behind it. And that's probably my favorite aspect of just, like, basic gameplay. You just don't have to worry about turning around for a missed gem. Like, you just know everything's gonna work. It's just really cool. It's satisfying.
Interesting. I didn't need the rocket there. The cycle was good enough that I could have just flamed the guy and it probably would have been slightly faster.
Wow, the way you kill those ninjas is actually really cool. I feel like that's something you might be able to do RTA.
I tried it. It worked like twice, maybe. But it's a lot more consistent just to like wait the half second for them to land and then charge them directly.
Yeah, I guess things usually turn out that way.
Mm-hmm. Oh, avoiding Zoe without jumping there. Nice.
Yeah, interesting. Shout out to that spot on a console, by the way. It's actually quite laggy there.
So this is essentially the same thing as we do RTA. There's really not much to optimize here, except for, you know, gem collection. But overall, you know, the idea is the same. Just grab the few eggs up there because it puts you in an excellent position to drop down a Bentley.
Yeah, pretty linear routing. There's like nothing to proxy off, so you pretty much have to follow the intended route.
And frogs are not proxyable here, unfortunately. Otherwise, actually, if frogs were proxyable, it probably would be faster to do Bentley. Well, I don't know. There might have been some routing difference just so we have frogs up there. Yeah. Because this is basically after the third level in the home world. And the way this home world works is after the third level, you get a cutscene when you load into Evening Lake that is essentially Hunter being captured. But that cutscene also removes all the frogs. So when that cutscene plays, the frogs are gone, which means when you get up there, instead of having, you know, 3 frogs, the life jar and the head bash crate, there's only the life jar and the head bash crate, so nothing to proxy off of. Well, technically you have the head bash crate to proxy off of, but you kind of need the gems from it, so yeah. Do you think the any person oob from the test would make a difference now?
Yeah, or even just anything you really found during the 80% test for this level.
Everything regarding Bentley and that any person test kind of relies on the zombie and being sparksless, so I doubt that we could make this fast. And like there's not really any use to do that with swim either, because you know you already have to get all the eggs up there.
Thanks, bro.
So, but hold on, now that I think about it, one potential optimization.
Ooh, that was cool. I don't think I noticed that before.
I wasn't
Yeah.
looking.
So you know when Bartholomew closes the door, you have like you can do like
Yeah.
one frame, 2 frames of like stuff, but
Yeah.
normally that doesn't amount to anything. But you got a auto walk thing, right?
Yeah. Camera lock thing allows you to keep
Yeah.
that keep walking from that single frame.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's the first time I noticed that.
That's the kind of thing you don't notice if you don't know the game perfectly.
Yeah.
But yeah, as I was saying, there might be a interesting reroute because there's a way to get to Hannah. I'm sure you know which egg Hannah is, but it's essentially the last egg before we went out of bounds to Bentley. There's a way to get to Hannah from the Frozen Altar's steps. Like right above the Frozen Altar portal, there's a few steps you can get to Hannah from there. So you might be able to like, you know, jump up there and then go directly to Bentley from there, and then reroute the other 3 eggs. 3? 2. The other 2 eggs that we usually get in that segment from Fireworks to Bentley, you could reroute that to after Starfish, because it'd take you directly above the rocket.
Yeah, do you still have that image, by the way?
That image? Which image?
When you got the impossible jump?
Oh.
I
Yeah.
remember you were very proud of it at the time.
Yeah.
No.
It's an emote on my channel. Not a sub
Wait, what?
emote, but an FFZ emote.
Well,
There's
a
the
screenshot of the
face-
chat.
Oh,
Oh.
what? No. Hold on. I think we
Oh,
are
it's-
talking about something
Sorry, yeah.
different.
I remember you took a screenshot of the chat at the time, like how they reacted to it.
I don't remember a screenshot of the chat,
Oh, you don't?
but
Oh,
yeah, all I remember is the screenshot of my face and that emote that came from it.
I see. Sorry, I never made the connection for that bit of lore. But,
And push them into my goal.
no, you definitely took a picture of the chat because like everyone was happy. It was pretty cool. Anyway, I need to actually look at this emote because I don't know which one it is.
Could be. Hold on.
Well done.
Is it the smug one?
No,
No.
it's the wine one,
Ah, okay.
which isn't properly named, but whatever. It's not really whining.
Thanks for helping out.
Meanwhile, yeah, here we are at the impossible jump, and there was the whole routing thing that needed to happen before, including some Sproder men before Sproder men were a thing. Like this is this level. The theme of this level is Sproder men before Sproder men were a thing. The impossible jump is a Sproder man. Gliding around the mountain into cat hockey was a couple Sproder men as well.
That's a good question. How many Sprouters do you think you'd put in if you remade it? Any obvious spots or?
Not sure.
Fair enough.
Oh, 48.5. My god. And what's it gonna be for the second round? Like a 39?
Is it 39? I feel like it was like. I feel like I remember seeing 29, but I don't know.
29 is what I got during my my world
Yeah.
record.
That's why it feels wrong, because like, how could you keep up RTA with that?
Okay, it's not gonna be a 39, but it's definitely gonna be a 3x. 36. Oh, barely. 3590.
35. That's crazy. That's crazy. I mean, even your PB one is crazy.
Yeah.
Nice little bonk there. It's no other way to kill those snowmen, unfortunately, but make up for a little bit of cool entry to the room.
I must proxy out of this pit. I wonder what route I would use nowadays. If I'd still use well, that was actually a very cool place to end the run, the route. It'd probably be very similar because that impossible jump makes everything line up perfectly.
I was gonna say it did already look like a real looking route, just maybe with a little bit of a few pieces jumping around.
That's it.
And Scorch.
Everyone's favorite boss, RTA.
My
But,
bet is
no.
on my bet is on first time red and all fireballs.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be crazy? You just get perfect RNG.
Oh,
we get
good
a-
start,
we get a
good
ball
start.
Reds.
Reds. Fireballs. 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 Amazing.
No way, dude. That's insane. This is looking like a pretty good run so far.
Funny thing, BizHawk emulates RNG better than PS6 Gen did. So
Wait,
when
what?
we did, yeah, not RNG, sorry, lag. It emulates lag
Oh,
better than
okay.
PS6 Gen did. My bad. And when we got to Scorch in the any percent TAS, we discovered a few different things, like the fact that kind of we were slower because of lag, but we were able to catch up by causing more lag. Because when you lag to a certain degree, kind of Bentley skips some frames and gets to his point faster or something like that. I'm not sure of the specifics anymore, but it was pretty cool.
It sounds interesting. That was, although regrettably now a slow route. That was still
Is it slow? I'm not sure it's slower.
Maybe just harder.
I would say it's harder, yes, but like you don't have to run back to the kind of middle
Yes.
section, the section that connects the end to the start,
Yeah, you know,
before
you're right.
doing
You're
the
right.
route.
Sorry, I spoke too soon.
I don't know if it's slower or faster, but it's definitely a more risky route because you have to rely on the fish to push you up the wall.
Wait, either way, the insane like shot precision here. It's on full display.
Mm-hmm.
It's by far the most amount of enemies you have to kill in an what's it called? Climb setup.
Someone reminded me some time ago about one of the things that happened during this stream is like, as was kind of usual with my TAS streams, I had song requests on, but for this specific stream, I decided to turn them off because I actually needed to hear the sound effect of every single shot on the manta ray to be able to optimize it perfectly, because I couldn't really rely on the visuals.
It's interesting. I don't remember that. I guess I might have missed that one. It makes sense though, because yeah, that sound effect of the boss taking damages must be overlapped like 100 times as you kill it.
To be fair, nowadays I'd probably just add a RAM watch and use that instead, but I probably just didn't want to bother. Okay, that run back to the end is kind of slow, but at the same time it doesn't feel too wasteful, so
I'm it.
I'm not dissatisfied with this route. Skipping Zoe again.
It's a very comfortable sub 2 evening. It's a very good time, to say the least.
Midnight Mountain. So I'm pretty sure I do some things right, some things kind of slow in this version of the Midnight Mountain Homeworld route. Starts all right. Starts exactly like it should. Well, except I could have used Spark's power up to get the two phases to the left, to the right at the start. So, yeah. I'm not going to claim that it was perfect, but it was at least not bad.
I'm gonna be honest, midnight routing to me, like the homeworld, has always been a bit of a mess. I sort of just want to go on the consensus for it. I didn't want to spend any time on it because there's so many possibilities. I was like, my brain can't handle this.
Yeah, so if you want to look at a good sorceress fight, don't look here. Go watch
yeah.
the any percent TAS.
Yeah, this is probably one of the easiest changes to spot if it was to be remade today.
This has been done faster RTA several times.
Yeah. Shout out to Jeremy Thompson. Just the savior of this game, really. Like I contributed a tiny bit to some of his findings, but for the most part, JT has made this fight so much more bearable. Yeah, cannot be understated. The work he put into this fight. Although I believe the credit for how cool the TAS fight was in the Innocent TAS. That was a discovery by Retro. The whole wands thing.
Can't say directly a discovery by Retro. Like, it was some videos, probably one of them by Retro, showing that the sorceress could hit herself. And then, but it wasn't a case of the one being dislocated, I don't think. I think that the whole one dislocation thing was a completely independent discovery while testing.
Okay. So it might have been one of those things where it's like, it brought it to your attention to look into it, I guess.
Yeah.
And then you end up... Yeah, I see.
It was definitely a case of like, yo, there was potential for the sorceress to be hit early, so like there's no point in waiting for the cannon. We should definitely look for something, etc.
Okay.
I might be remembering wrong too. Those shots, nice.
Yeah, that's really funny. It's really cool when you don't have to worry about dying. You just barrel through all these enemies.
Yeah, that's something that never happened in the Sparks level before this one, but there's just so many of them that are just spawned there and waiting for you. There was no way around that.
And unfortunately, some of them are close enough together that you can make away a few of them and spam up like a single
Yeah.
iframe. Or group of iframes,
So yeah,
whatever you want to call them.
suboptimal net route here. We have since discovered that you can actually skip to the bus room and where you usually get the bus room key.
Yeah, it's another contribution by Drash, I think, to the Sparks levels. He may not have actually ended up running the game properly, but he at least found some stuff for us. Actually kind of ridiculous. It got to the point where I was making fun of him for like how many times he said he would run it but didn't.
Oh god,
think
that's
it's probably-
that fight.
Yeah.
All those shots. And then the spray at the end.
Beautifully spread. Yeah, no more Sparks levels. It's all over.
Sag.
That last egg might
Back to
be-
playing Spyro the Dragon.
Not the worst thing in the world.
Oh, that's how the TAS does that.
Yeah, I was curious how it was going to do that. That's always a room I feel like I've done slowly.
Just caressing the egg.
Yeah, a little show-off maneuver.
These were the gems from the Molten Crater entry.
Yep.
Which,
The more you pay money
if I were
back,
to
the run.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if I were to do the test again, those would not be there, and it would be a cheapskate run. No gems to collect from money bags at the end. Saves like
Money-
a bit of time because as soon as the flame connects, that ends the thing.
That also is a funny thing to consider when routing the earlier levels, if you were going to skip our money bags or not, because you have to factor in the fact that you'd save a little bit of time right at the end of the game.
Mhm.
It's pretty cool.
Well, well.
Because yeah, Moneybags does scale with how much you've paid him throughout the run. So if you don't pay him anything, just it's over instantly. It's really cool. I suppose that was another point of like childhood genius as well. I would make a memory card save before Moneybags in like future playthroughs. Just to kill him over and over.
So interesting desert route.
Yeah, this challenge should be interesting. It's another one of those ones where you really go ham with the sniping.
Just watch out for the shark riders. They're carrying the latest
I think that was another case where I did it once and it lined up and I just moved on.
I'm guilty of doing this with the RTA route as well.
But it ends so well. Like last snipe
Yeah.
and then collecting the last gems.
I would say it's probably my favorite challenge in the run.
Did we see a single shark die? Or was it all off screen?
I don't know. It was over
We're
too
good.
fast.
We're gonna have to watch that again later, I guess.
Ooh, nice little cut through the hand there. Oh man, that is. You can do that RTA, but it's risky. Getting the charge proxy while getting the gem at the same time. It looks so cool though.
It almost never happens, and this TAS does it twice. 3 times? At least twice. We saw it twice already.
Do you think
Sure,
you'd want to
there's a
put more
third.
of those in?
Hi, Spyro.
I don't know. The only one that would have potential is the one before Nelly.
Fair enough. I suppose it does have to be a certain type of proxy at the same time.
It probably didn't work out because it was too slow. Like, you'd have to wait for the Scorpion to hit, so it probably wasted more time than it saved because Nelly's so close after that. Nelly being the next egg we're going to get after this challenge.
Up to the spot on PAL, by the way. Those big scorpions are not blue on PAL.
Huh.
Yeah, properly coloured. It's a bit funny because the ones in the overworld, like the normal level, are coloured normally, I believe. Just yeah, for some reason on the NTC it's messed up in that challenge specifically. Shut
Dude,
shut that guy.
that glide was so slow. I definitely could have done that proxy better. And yeah, that's proof. No more proxy while also getting the egg. Oh well.
It's funny though, it's one of the cases where it's an enemy that doesn't actually have a gem, so just free to let him sink into the lava and die.
I could have also done that one better. We know that you can actually kill that scorpion without jumping, so if I were to redo that, I'd do that.
It's another instance where the pausing at the same time you skip the cutscene, right? And it just completely kills the music.
Yep. If you pause on the first frame, it plays the pause sound, skips the key, and kills the music.
They actually switched the colors of the scorpions during development, which is why the fragments they release are switched. I'm guessing the fully brown ones are the ones they wanted to put in, and like the blue ones were the earlier versions.
Okay. Daily dose of Agent 9. Coming right up.
What was that?
Yeah. When I first started running this, I ran on PAL. One of the few people to do so, I guess. It's not a very common region to run on.
A vast number.
Yeah, cool level. To say the least.
That section is so smooth. Just like stopping right in front of the professor.
Just no downtime. I would say this section is even more impressive than
You cleared them?
the fireworks one, just because of, I mean, it doesn't really matter in a test setting, I suppose, but
Just as I.
knowing how different it controls when you're trying to zigzag for
Mhm.
third and first person, like this is just yeah.
Nice work.
This is probably the level we will always be lagging behind on. Just never catch up.
Now I can switch.
Also the legendary 12 snipes.
The lab's.
I wish I could do that RTA.
Oh man, jump around,
Mm-hmm.
shooting the
Oh, so
balloons
yeah,
by hitting the ground.
It's faster to aim down than it is to aim up, so yep.
Messed around trying to find setups for that, but I ended up deciding that it was just way too. I don't know. To have to stop in the exact same spot every time. I don't know. I feel like it'd be very easy to mess it up. Decided against it eventually. Yeah, this is cool. You have to wait a certain amount of time for the throw cooldown to reset, so just a lot of running around while the throw comes back off cooldown.
It could have been done faster. There were a few cases where I shot the bomb, but like landed after shooting the bomb, so it kind of like was delayed for some reason. If I were to do it again, I'd probably save a few seconds there at least. But oh well.
Do you want to explain how just the Agent 9 movement works in general? I figure you know better than I do.
Okay. So when you're strafing and alternating strafe directions, for some reason the game kind of accelerates you, but it kind of applies a multiplication to it. So if you do that back and forth constantly without stopping the strafe, it will accelerate you exponentially. And after like only 8 or 9 pumps, you're already at max speed and can move at high speeds. The why the game does that, who knows? There's probably a good reason, a like UX reason without, you know, consideration for the consequences of spamming the thing.
You need to make a comprehensive list and do a second Insomniac run. Get all these questions answered.
Is there a cap to it at some point? Yeah, the cap is basically the overflow value, which is like 32,000 speed. But we do reach somehow higher speeds than that, so it's not like strict. It's just that at some point it does some conversion, wraps back in the negative, gets assigned back to the value. And normal speed is like in the 600 or 6,000, I don't remember.
Good evening.
Did you realize you've resisted the urge to quote any of the NPCs during this run?
You have no idea.
Well, there you go. Woda
My
did it.
magic. A light tap on the head should sort them out. But watch out for
Remembered at the same time.
trying to burrow after them.
Do you think you'll crack at any point? Or are you gonna hold strong?
I'm gonna hold. If I'm about to crack, I'm gonna mute my mic. No worries. I will not
Compulsively
hear
say
about
to
it.
yourself. And I feel like that's probably a selling point of your stream at this point, right? That's what people come there for. It's like no one actually wants to watch the run, they just want to hear you quote the stuff.
23 seconds left. Damn.
Yeah, it's a great time. I think my best is like 16 or 17.
It's already pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever gone above like 13.
Well, good to know I'm not washed up in everything.
Yeah, but have you gotten to 29 boxing too?
No. Not even close.
There you go. This route is interesting too. I mean, you'll see why in about 30 seconds.
Yeah, the abundance of swimming here can sometimes be interesting. Although, I mean, in this case, it's just straight up super flying. For some reason, I thought you were going to grab the swimming air there. I don't know why. God, I wish those beavers were that easy. Normally.
But I do grab swimming air here.
Yes, you do. Oh, I completely forgot.
Yes.
Completely forgot.
Here, you
I will do y'all a favor and lower my volume.
Yeah, volume warning.
Oh, wrong window. Never mind. Sorry. Couldn't lower the volume. Didn't have the right window selected for it.
The coolest thing about that is it's something you can just do if you mess around with save settings. Like anyone can actually try this. It's a really fun thing to mess around with.
This barely
Yeah.
saved any time, by the way, like 3 seconds, 5 seconds at most. It's not worth doing RTA. Especially considering you have to get Suminair again in a spot that's not really kind to Suminairs.
Mm.
Do I want to explain how that works? I probably should.
I think the...
We... Go ahead.
Oh, I'll just say that the execution is pretty easy to understand, but I don't know about the why.
Right. So you achieve that by essentially entering the slide area portal at this on the same frame as you touch the ground in that vicinity. Touching the ground there makes it so you essentially trigger the end level area. So the game starts loading the side area, but gets interrupted right away in favor of getting the end of level egg. If you die after doing that, which is essentially required because you can't enter the slide area from there. If you die after doing that, you will reload the current area, which is still the main area, but with the gems of the side area. A bunch of them spawn over the void, and those gems get basically teleported directly to Spyro instead of placed where they were supposed to. The rest of the gems you have to get yourself. The egg, for example, is still there. It's just invisible and everything. There's also a like funny fact about that, and it's that if you exit area before getting zapped again, you're actually going to enter the slide area normally. So like if you try to enter and then die and then exit area, that's going to actually enter the slide area. But if you get zapped before exiting area, then when you exit area, you're going to re-enter the normal area, but from the portal of the slide area. So a little bit of intricacies, some weirdness. Not sure how much more I can explain to it. It's kind of a very fun fact, and the fact that we are able to make it work in the TAS is also pretty cool. Meanwhile, tanks.
Yes. Challenge we wish... Another challenge we wish we were this good on. Unfortunately, we are not. The whole RTA route there revolves around like coming up to the pillars, triggering them so they run out, and then shooting them as soon as possible. But yeah, the TAS is just able to like slide shots in around the pillars from across the map. Yeah, it's crazy.
I never realized just how similar my RTA route is to the TAS route for this level. The main difference is the RTA route leaves the Agent 9 area for later.
Hmm.
And
Sorry, is the audio fine on your end?
What?
Is the audio fine on your end?
Yeah, it is.
It seems to be coming through just really crackly all of a sudden. I don't know if that's coming through on stream.
Yes, it's probably just on
sorry.
your end.
Yeah, sorry. Alright. I'll rejoin.
Okay. Oh. It's crackly now, apparently.
It seems to get slowly compounding.
Okay, maybe I should restart the stream then. Give me a minute.
Sorry about this.
Just rejoining for good measure. And hopefully that won't mess up the capture.
Looks roughly good.
All right.
And yeah, we're back. Sweet. Had to happen right at the end, of course. Uh, where were we? I think I interrupted you on something.
Yes, I was saying how similar my route is to my RT route is to the TAS route for Haunted Tomb.
Ah, yes. That is a route I don't think I've looked into yet. Well, I really had a reason to, I guess, because I'm not playing, but yeah, no, it's one of the things I think you have like really overhauled compared to everyone else.
Yeah, as far as I know, my route is like 7 seconds faster, but it's hard to
Was it-
say.
Was it intentional to resemble the TAS, or do you only just notice
No,
now?
it wasn't intentional, no. But it, like, kind of had to. Kind of had to, just because of the requirement that I had, which was to end in the Agent 9 section.
To find a way to make use of the Atlas ending.
Mm-hmm.
Would that be better on emulator, by the way? Or is that only for consoles?
It doesn't save as much time on emulator, but yes, technically if you exit from a side area, it would still be faster on emulator to use Atlas warping. Like, I wouldn't go out of my way to make a route that ends in the side area, so like I think all the routes that we have in Midnight that end in a side area are actually faster as they are, if only barely.
Just even on their own without it.
Yeah. So for that reason, like if you just decide to use those on emulator, you can still use Atlas warping on them. But yeah, you just don't reroute specifically to end in a side area. Like the Desert Ruins route that ends in Shark, I think I already said like it's 0.5 seconds faster even without Atlas warping in the picture. The Dino Mines one also like barely faster. Like as far as I know, it's the fastest order even without considering Atlas warping. The Crystal one that I had that ended in the slide is not faster, so don't do that one. The Haunted Tomb one, you know, like we kind of need more people to look into it because the routes are so different that it's difficult to know for sure which one is faster. I've timed mine to be 7 seconds faster, including the Atlas warping, so consider like 4 seconds without Atlas warping. But yeah, if someone else that's high level of the game can look at it and compare the forwards route versus the backwards route, that'd be a good idea too.
Yeah, does anyone want to step up? Anyone in chat? Nobody? Okay.
Guess it's not gonna happen then.
You look at all this cursor wiggling, whatever you want to call it. Bullseye. What's the proper name for this sort of thing? Crosshair? That's the one.
Crosshair, but it's not really a crosshair because it's just a circle.
It's a cross circle.
Circle hair?
Circle hair.
Reticle. Reticle's good.
Just why? No? Okay.
Adding the reticle, moving it in a jaggy way, because why not?
There it is. The one optimization. Crazy.
Actually, like every single final kill is an optimization.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you'll move faster if you kill the last dino earlier.
Oh, you just mean... Oh, okay. Sorry. Oh, man. I completely forgot. Yeah, just kill the guy faster, then you move on faster. Makes sense. It looks like it's lagging. It's really funny.
It restart. Okay, restarting the stream also seemed to have helped on the frame rate stuff. So
Yeah, interesting. Do you think maybe you had like a memory leak going on or something?
don't think so. Was the frame rate fine on your end, or was it jaggy?
Maybe I wasn't paying attention, but I didn't really notice anything. No, not until the sound.
Okay, so it was probably just on the Spyrothon stream that was jaggy, but
Mm.
Jumping jaw.
anyway, that was the last
Yes.
platforming level in Midnight Mountain.
In the last Agent 9, yeah. Pretty much last everything.
Not the last speedway.
We can forget about speedways. Right?
Hmm.
Oh man, you're one of those speedway sympathizers. That's fine. Harbor is one of the better ones.
Yeah, Harbor is really good. The RTA route is faster than the TAS uses, by the way. I got a
Really
39
nice.
RTA, I think, so wonder what the TAS gets here.
It's probably my favorite time trial.
It flows really well.
Mm. And also, more importantly, has the best aesthetics. Right?
Maybe.
Is that objectively correct?
I think that's always subjective. So I'm going to try and pay attention to what the TAS gets here because I want to compare. That was a 3921. So RTA, I approached the TAS, but I'm still not there.
One day. It'll be one of those sub 250 strats. See, there it is, confirmed by Jeremy. And he is the arbiter of all things Spyro 3.
Don't I get a say by having world record in literally everything in the speedways?
Yeah, but those are like arbitrary.
But Harbor Speedway is the best speedway.
Oh, there it is. You know
The
what?
ranking is Harbor, Country, Mushroom, Honey.
You know, suddenly Nitro's opinions on speedways got a little bit more valid. I think that is actually the exact same order I prefer as well. I'm not gonna lie. Maybe. Wait, did you say Mushroom in second or third?
Third.
Third. Okay. I might swap Mushroom and Country, but yeah, not too fussed about it.
I might swap Country and Harbor, but Harbor has a
Really?
special place in my heart.
I can't get over I think Country's great except for the Hunter bit. The Hunter bit's just, I don't know.
I kind of don't think about the Hunter bits when I mention those. Talking just race and time attack.
That's
And
fair.
aesthetic.
It's better than Canyon at least. Canyon, it's like Canyon is the same as Country, except you have to deal with that annoying noise. So I always mute my TV. Right, or most of the time at least. Sometimes it can't be bothered. And of course, we all know the TAS has the. In the TAS, sorry, is the Harbor is the best hunter challenge. Even better than Mushroom. Mushroom might have the edge RTA, but TAS is different.
Let's
Old
play a
Speedway.
game of can you spot the frame?
Yeah. Also, a funny thing that HWE said, it's like, all the speedways have great music too. It's like, regards, PAL and 1.0 players. Just get the same track everywhere. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, here we go.
Where do these fly?
The insane Hunter challenge. By spinning the camera around in this challenge, you actually save 3 minutes. Isn't that right?
4.
My mistake. My mistake. It just speaks for itself, really. Don't have to even say anything.
Coming up. No.
It looks like such a deliberate thing as well. He just moves his head specifically to look at the camera and just goes back to playing.
He knows.
He's he's self-aware. It's the first instance of a Skynet. You can enter the hunter missions as Spyro on the review build. Interesting.
Hmm.
How would that find out exactly, I guess? Well, all those vehicle ones, I'm sure, just would not even work, right?
I'm not sure.
There's a really weird thing with speedways. I remember messing around with it with Grant back in the day. The freeze tool. I remember there was a really weird thing that happened in speedways there, like all the
Hey, you finally this place is where the
yeah,
sorceress
not
comes
important.
from.
SBR.
SBR,
Final
yeah.
level around.
A bunch of
Uh,
if you can catch the
There
fire,
was
you'll never
when I did this, when I was testing this, there was like the hope that the task would come up with a like amazing, easy, consistent RTA route, and I had to break everyone's hope like instantly because this is not RTA viable, but it's really cool.
I think even to this day, I've had a few people like try their hand at a SBR route, and really, pretty much everyone just ends up on roughly the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool, though. Do you do any of the things where like you kill a UFO like off screen, and you have the gems for it, but it will respawn?
Nope, don't think I do.
Ah, I've done that in practice before. It's really funny, but maybe that's just the quirk of how the RTA route works.
And
Yeah,
that's
more subs.
Subs done like already.
Yeah. It's fast enough even RTA these days, but man,
Check it out.
it's even better. See,
Wow, you can
Blue
kill
Yeti.
that guy by flaming right at the start, huh? Interesting. Butt bounce. Also, yeah, that trick manip thing was just to slow down enough for Sparks to grab the blue, but still make it to the next platform. I really like how the Yeti race turned out.
Yeah, shout out to the grinding on the side, by the way. It's like maybe a Easter egg spoiler to what would come from SRT.
I predicted the future.
No way.
Another case of just manipulating, grinding on the side to get more gems, things like that. I wonder why that was necessary, though. It was only necessary because I grinded on the side on my way up. That's what it is. Oh. Might do things differently if I redo this.
You just realized you lost time or something?
Maybe.
Oh dear.
I realize I might not have done my due diligence and checked for that possible time loss.
Yes!
Shoutouts to leaving early.
When am I announcing that I have another 117% test in the works? Let's say 2031, if you're willing to wait.
Oh my god. We need the Spyro 2 test for
I
this.
don't know how she did it.
It has to happen.
The best chance to defeat her is to borrow my flying saucer.
Yeah. Casual set up this UFO proxy into
But the rest is gonna be up to you.
just an insane kill.
You've come this far, Spyro. I
God,
know
we wish we could kill the sorceress like that every time.
Many of us have looked for a setup for a UFO proxy. There's never been anything consistent.
We like to pretend, but at the end of the day, you just sort of go for it. And yeah, that is GG, isn't it?
That is. I mean, there's not much. There's not much congratulations to be done because 7.5 years ago. But yeah,
Yeah, congratulations to Insomniac on this beautiful cutscene where all the voice actors had already gone home, so there's no voice acting.
what's the formal proper test timing and RTA timing for this? RTA timing, I have no clue. Test timing 227:54.15.
It's been a long time since I've had to verify runs, but I believe it was as soon as her health bar disappears. I want to say I could be entirely wrong, honestly. I'm sure it's written on speedrun.com rules somewhere.
I usually go by when the health bar starts to go away. Let's see here. Was there anything that you wanted to look back on again that we might have skipped over too quickly?
That's a good question. I feel like maybe some sections we talked over because the section before it was super interesting, but I wouldn't be able to remember that offhand.
Hmm.
Do any funny stories to tell? If you
have.
find a certain section, it's like when I was making this took me 3 days because it was really stupid.
Yeah, one of the main examples that I think I already mentioned that during the main commentary, but it was during Crystal Islands. Spent a week or more of streaming for several hours, just trying different things, trying to come up with a route that made sense. And in the end, I realized that I was just looking too far, trying too hard to come up with something, because by just adding all the requirements of each kind of portion, if I wanted to, for example, get to, or if I wanted to use the glitch, the slide area glitch where all the gems spawn in Crystal Islands, I need to have swim in air there, which means, okay, I'll need to get swim in air there anyway. So there's no reason for me to keep light all the way up there, so I can long story short, by just adding a couple requirements in the span of 15 minutes at the start of stream number 4 or stream number 5, I don't remember, I just came up with basically the only route that could have made sense if I'd just done that to begin with. So moral of the story, I was too stuck up on experimentation to realize that there was basically nothing to experiment to begin with.
It's fair enough, honestly, because I think anyone who's done any sort of RTA routing probably has similar gripes, where they try really hard to find something that's cool, but just the simplest thing ends up being, the most worth it.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to ask what the worst part of the task was, if there was one specific area that was the most frustrating or time-consuming.
Honey Speedway?
It's infamous at this point. Those that followed know about Honey Speedway and the fact that without realizing at some point I completed the race and then somehow erased my save states that had completed the race, so I had to do it again. So imagine doing the longest race, the most boring race of the 4 speedways, and then finally getting to the end and somehow making the mistake that forces you to do it again. Yeah.
Do you have any idea in hindsight how that could have happened?
I just wasn't careful about my save states. So I did all this before BizHawk was a thing, before TAS Studio was a thing. So it was all about save state managements. And I did not save any save states to files. So
once you had done with them, you chucked them?
I didn't get that. What was that?
Once you were done with them, you just got rid of them? Overwrote them?
More or less. So I had a system where basically my left hand would press shift to go into write mode for the save state, and then like F1 to F10 would be the save states themselves. So like you can imagine that, you know, F8, F7, 8, 9, 10, sometimes F6 are all like easier to reach. So those were like my working save states. That was what I was using whenever like, okay, I just need to check this. So I was always like working with save state 10 and then figuring out, okay, this kind of works. I'm going to move it to save state 9, try something else with save state 10 until it works, compare the two, just like overwrite the lower number as I was going. And if I had like longer sections, I would use something like save state 5 and 6, sometimes save state 4 to just remember a later part of the run, so that like once I'm done experimenting with something else, if I realize, okay, it's not faster than what I had before, I just load save state 5, erase all the save states to the right, and go on with this. So it was probably one of those situations where, okay, I loaded a save state without looking, I pressed shift and then slid my finger across or over 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, just erasing every single save state I had. I always had like save state 1 for the start of sunrise spring, save state 2 for the start of midday, save state 3 for the start of evening lake, just so that I can like watch them again when I wanted. In hindsight, like those are best used as files, and I can have like more save state to work with, but I didn't feel the need for it back then.
So I was tempted to interject there because I noticed you're on MPV, so I noticed as soon as the video was gonna finish, it was gonna close. I was tempted to speak up. If I should have, told you to pause the video. Yeah, was there anything you wanted to go over? Or do you think we're covered everything? I think I don't really have anything, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't have anything either.
Could call it a GG there. Yeah, I suppose if you guys have any questions.
I can give more details about the whole copy protection thing. Bear with me, that was in 2013, so my memory is a bit fuzzy, but that was, as I said, on the earlier version of PSX Gen that didn't have the fix. I really didn't know what to expect. I had no idea what the copy protection was going to do. Like, I just went in knowing that I was not going to be able to complete the sorceress fight because PSX Gen struggled with it. And I was fine with it because, well, I guess I just didn't know how much effort it would take me to get there. If I'd known, I probably wouldn't have decided that. But yeah, anyway. So I went in like that. And for a while, everything was fine. Like, sunrise spring completed 100%. I looked in the atlas, everything was still fine. And then, if you remember the route in Midday Garden, that was Icy Peak, followed by Surgeon Bird Base, followed by Spooky Swamp. The way the copy protection works is in each of the side character levels, there's like a timer running down, or I don't know if it's a timer, but it kind of does some maths in the background, and if it doesn't add up, it will remove an egg. And the egg it removes when you're in Surgeon Bird's base is the Sheila's Alp end of level egg. So what happened is, first time going through the game, TAS Surgeon Bird's base, get out of Surgeon Bird's base, everything's fine. Enter Spooky Swamp, start running around with it in it, and Sheila's side area is closed. That's basically what basically like bummed me out like immediately. I thought I could get all the way to Midnight Mountain and have fun all the way there, and then just already a stick in my wheel. Couldn't move on. I decided to just shelve it. But conveniently, as I mentioned before, this dude named Hyperbug reached out, explained his situation, and decided to give me a bit of help. And so we basically played around. He sent me a debug version of the executable so that he could do some testing. I played the tests on it. He looked at what was happening and eventually found that one thing. Turns out it was a hack for another game that was causing Spyro to fail. So it just needed to be disabled for Spyro, in short.
Do you know which game that was?
I don't remember. And as you'd have it in 2013, it was the Skype era, so all the chat logs are gone.
Mm.
So,
fair enough.
yeah, long story short, Hyperbug found the problem, gave me a build I could work with. I started the TAS over. I tried a few times to hex it, the inputs in, didn't work out. I decided to start from scratch. And to be fair, today I wouldn't have even tried to exit the inputs in because I was able to tell that there were many flaws that I could improve. So that was just an opportunity to make the TAS better. And as you'd have it, as I mentioned, there was like a lot of opportunities and that I took for me to save time. So one example is the molten crater area. I mean, if you're curious, you can go to my YouTube channel and look at my like old videos. I still have the old work in progress videos in. So if you want to like do a side by side comparison between the old work in progress and the task, you're welcome to do so. There's the molten crater area, as I mentioned. Seashell Shore is completely different because I didn't have proxies on the first pass. We probably improved the speedways as well. I don't remember what time I got on the speedway and the speedway race before, but I remember that that was also the first pass was before I discovered the whole momentum thing. That is, in the speedways, if you're supercharging and you hit the ground while supercharging and jump right as you hit the ground, you'll have more speed than a standard supercharge. And the effect is even more pronounced if you land from, say, flying and diving hard against the ground. And all of that I didn't know about on the first pass. So if you look at the race during my first pass, my old whip, it's just like dreadful. I'm pretty sure RTA were faster than that now because we know about the whole supercharged stuff. So kind of a good thing in disguise. It was painful to encounter it. It was painful to redo it, but I'm happy now that I did because I really wouldn't have been as happy about the task if Sunrise Spring had been the one before I moved on. And that just shows like if you're looking into tasking, don't expect the best from your first result and don't hesitate to go back. It's not time wasted, it's experience and it's yeah, it's good experience. Here's
Do you
another
think-
question. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, do you think if you hadn't have had to remake it at any point, how far into it do you think it would have been until you discovered proxies? If you were on like the original timeline?
Honestly, I probably wouldn't have discovered them.
You would think it would have finished before you even found them?
Yes.
That's crazy.
Seashell Shore was kind of like the perfect catalyst for it. Because in Seashell Shore, the shovel Rhinox aren't like the other enemies. Like you knock them out of the shell, and then for a while they're invincible. And the original proxies that we found were on those invincible Rhinox.
Mm, yeah,
So
that makes sense.
it was not dead body proxy per se. It was just, invincibility type thing proxy. And well, I can't say with confidence that we wouldn't have found the proxies without that, but the thing that made me discover them was, knocking one of the Rhinox out of the shell, and then it wasn't even an air proxy. It was initiating a skid turn accidentally right as I was within that guy's hitbox. I don't know if you've seen skid turn proxies, but they look really funky. You like go in a half circle extremely fast on the ground. And when I found that, I decided to start investigating, made the link with what we didn't know about, what we didn't know was a proxy back then, which is the chest proxy in Idle Springs. Realized that there was a lot of similarities between that and the chest proxy, and the fact that you can charge through the hitbox, but you can't glide or walk through it. And so applying the knowledge of the chest jump at the time, probably was called Jumpy Jump. Kind of a parallel to what you said earlier, like everything is called Saboom X, Tuval X, or Jumpy X.
Yeah.
So yeah, kind of a parallel to that. Applied that to the spawning hitbox at the time of the Shovel Rhinoc. Figured out that it works. I just didn't even think about the dead bodies at the time. It's just like at a later time when I was investigating like how to make it work differently, how to make it work better, I discovered, hey, you can also use the dead bodies. Neat. And like that was basically like the most intense revelation I've had in this game, which was like, wait, what if I
Yeah.
go in a different level? So first level you think I'm gonna go to, right? Sunny Villa, of course. Just charge the guy, try to proxy, and within like 3 attempts, I'm flying.
It's really funny. Pretty much changed the course of the speedrun as well, didn't it?
Yeah.
Like, forever. It's hard,
Like,
hard to think of a time without it, honestly, at this point.
yeah. I mean, if you look just even at my 340, there's not a single proxy in it, right? Because that was 4 the whole thing. Even 335 probably didn't have proxies then. I mean, okay, true. If you look at 117 all the way down to 310, there's probably like many runs that don't even think about doing proxies, and that's fair. But
Mm. It's
yeah,
back in the Stone Ages. It's like before proxies is like, BC. You got BC and AD, except it's with proxies.
okay. Phoenix had another question. The 380 test had Bianca skip. Was that known about back in 2014, or was it included, or was it a new discovery? It was a new discovery. To be fair, it's probably a discovery of 2015, not a discovery of 20, not a discovery from much later. So the 3NE task I started working on basically immediately after the 117. I obviously didn't mention it to anyone. The main project was 1NE at the time, kind of still is, if you ignore the 2 years I haven't worked on it. But yeah, the 3NE task was started way back then. And the Bianca skip itself came along pretty early into that. Though I might be getting it wrong. I know like the Cloud Spires, the jump from Cloud Spires directly to the thing to the side, kind of Sproder thing, to as an alternative to Whirlwind Bypass. That was definitely on my first pass of 380, so that was a 2015 thing. But I'm not sure about Bianca skip. That one conveniently, I can probably look at a Discord history and actually find the answer for that one. So
Even Discord is getting a little bit old. Like late 2015, wasn't it?
Maybe. Let me look if I can find my oldest DM. Maybe I can't. Whatever. Yeah, Discord. Late 2015. I probably didn't join until like 2016-ish.
Mm. Yeah, I know some people were a little bit hesitant to change.
Though then again,
May 13th.
yeah, that was okay. I definitely didn't. So one of the conversations I see in my old ones was from my AGDQ 2017 room. So I definitely wasn't on Discord on 2016. Wait, no, on 2015. The room was for 2017. So yeah, I was there by by late 2016, but I don't think I had Discord in 2015. Anyway, why are we talking about that?
You should go bump that old thread. Can I get anyone still here?
They're all still here, yeah.
Let's go.
Any more anecdote?
Yeah, any more Spyro questions for the Spyro mastermind?
Focus on other things. I mean, you've seen me stream last year and the year before that, right? I was a stream monster for a while. So definitely not a lack of time. It's just that I'd rather focus on RTA things.
Yeah, Nitrof was like, I'm sick of being the TAS boy. I'm gonna hit the gym.
I mean, it's paid off.
It has, yeah, no kidding. Hopefully there's more to come.
Hopefully. Do I have any advice for people wanting to start tassing? I feel like I get asked that question a lot. Oh, yeah, just don't hesitate. Start with a game that you like, a game that you find interesting. You'll see, you might not find your work satisfactory to begin with. I think satisfying is a requirement. If you're not satisfied with the act of tassing, it might not be the best thing for you. But yeah, just don't, as I keep saying, don't expect your first attempt to be as good as someone has been doing it for 10 years. You'll be bad. You'll try something, and someone like me would come along, see it, and I'd have plenty of, I'll call it constructive criticism, though I know that that's not always how it's perceived, to someone's work, and that's normal. I mean, I looked at my own stuff today, and it was just like, okay, that was bad. I could have done that so much better. Why didn't I look at this one more time? And to be fair, like for a first project, I probably wouldn't have wanted to spend so much time going back on the same section because I kind of just wanted to experience the thing. And well, already a 2 hour and a half project for a first project is probably long, but I made it work. And despite it not being perfect, it was still very well received. People enjoyed it. So there's a good chance if you make a project and it looks good to you, it'll look good to others. And that's it's a good thing. Don't get discouraged by it not being perfect or anything, but get encouraged by the support you get from others, and eventually, if you are as motivated as I am to make something of extremely high quality, you'll get there.
Brings a tear to my eye.
Do you think it's good to start with some 2D game before you try some 3D games like Spyro? I'd say jump right into what you think is interesting. My first experience with tassing itself wasn't with Spyro. Tassing was kind of not that big, but I saw like SM64 tassing, and I was like, I want to try my hand at that, and I couldn't even do a BLJ. That's mostly because I didn't know the game, right? I didn't know the game. I didn't know how to do the BLJ. I just tried something to try something, and I didn't enjoy the experience at all. My second experience with tassing was much better because it was a game I liked, a game I knew. So pick that first. Pick something you know, pick something you can work with. And then, if you're good, you can start looking at other games that other people know, and then all the baggage you'll have accumulated by then will be useful for you to get good at tassing that other game. Yeah. So,
It's about that time.
Hello.
Hello, hello. You guys stream?
Oh, wait, what? Sorry?
I said thank you for stream.
Oh. Yeah, no worries.
I think we're kind of dry on questions at this point, so I think we're probably going to call it here. Anyone has any last minute questions? I think you pretty much covered everything though, those commentaries.
Mm-hmm.
It goes along well with the original video if you can maybe grab the link for the original commentated version. Put that in chat as well. Because that one's a lot more, I think, productive friendly.
Yeah. I'll be honest, like, yeah, that video is it's nice and all, but I'm not a fan of old Nitrof.
Dude, dude, you're not gonna not worry about your old stuff. You know that video has soul. You know you're gonna be looking back at that in like 20 years, and you can be like, man, you know what? I was a pretty cool kid.
Where is it even? Do, 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 do.
Just for the record, I'm also a fan of old Nitrof. Even if you aren't.
All right.
Young Trump.
Here it is. 2014 Nitrof versus 2022 Nitrof. Who'd win? I am better in every way. Except on age. I'm older. Older isn't good.
When your English isn't as strong back then, you know you've got some you got a strong aura about you. You know.
All right. Any last minute things, guys, or you think you're good?
I'm good.
I'm curious what that badge is in chat. Watching without audio. What the hell?
Yeah. He seems to be hearing just fine though.
What is
If I do that, if I mute it,
I've never heard of that before.
nothing happens.
Nothing.
That's interesting. I like
Yeah,
that.
weird.
Weird though. Anyways, so yeah, so that was our TAS retrospective stream. Again, Nitrof put the link there for the original one if you want to see it back then. There's also probably think a version without the commentary as well. If you just want to have it on the background, I've done that a bunch in the past. You can go back just to see Agent 9, you know, the fun part.
Yeah. That one's on TASvideos.org or the TAS Videos channel.
You said it's up to 4K it was encoded in?
Yep.
Right, so really good quality. I don't know how it looked on the stream here. It seemed fine to me, but hopefully the stream didn't buffer it too much.
Yeah, before I restarted it, it looked like the frame rate was kind of choppy. So unfortunate there, but after the restart, it seems fine.
Yeah.
Should have probably thought about restarting earlier to fix it, but whatever.
So let me send this back over to a break screen real quick.
Watching without video, that doesn't make sense.
Doesn't make any sense, yeah.
Just have the stream pause, but you still want to type.
Alright, so with that out of the way then, I guess we're pretty much done here. I did want to announce though, people forgot to tease that we do have a bit of an announcement to make here.
Oh.
So, if you remember 2 years ago, in June, we started doing the Spyro Showcase events, and we did last year the Miscellaneous Showcase, keeping the theme with it. So, we are continuing that this year. We're going to return back to the original style, the 80% style. Probably going to alternate between them every year, not really sure. We might have other ideas, we couldn't really think of much this year. So, we'll go back to the 80% style. So, right after this is done, I'll post some information to the Discord and the social media and whatnot. Submissions will open tomorrow. They'll be open for almost 2 weeks. The whole timeline will be in social media posts, so be on the lookout for that. Let me try and remember what day we're looking at. We are looking at Saturday, June 18th for it. Since the weekend after is SGDQ, so that's when a lot of people will be traveling. So it's less than a month away. So get excited for that.
Let's go.
We don't know beyond that about Spyro 8 or anything. We don't thought that far ahead yet, so we'll figure that out soon. But this is the short-term goal. So yeah, I'm excited for that. I'm excited to get another full-day event going on. This is a nice way to ease back into it a bit. Y'all saw how long it took me to get the cropping good earlier, so I'll be better next time.
Yeah, I'll fully be rusted at this point.
Yes. It always takes a bit to remember how to do it all. But yeah, so I think other than that, we are done.
Yep.
I was
Shout out
looking
to
at what we
Not Manny
should
and
raid.
Gazco41.
Oh yeah, I was thinking of it earlier. You would probably know this more, Nitrof. Who, like the record history of 117? You had that a while back, back in like 2014 or so, and then it swapped hands a couple times, right? Vanny.
Yeah.
It was a Vanny Nerf and back to you, or were there more in between? I'm drawing a blank on.
There was a few, yeah.
Yeah. Parso, Saboom,
Oh,
Jumpy, Toto all had it.
Okay, gotcha. I felt
It's,
like there was time missing there, but
Sort of
Yeah,
like
it's-
whoever put attention its way got the record.
It's that kind of category, right? It was so, I want to call it immature, but like just, yeah.
Just didn't get as much love as the other ones.
And like you can tell, like the Vanny era, where finally someone really put the time into it. He just shot forward and, you know, improved run after run after run. So
It was actually really funny because he when he was actively doing runs, I would like DM him one day, like when I was done with the level, I would just feed him strats, and eventually he subbed through. I feel like I contributed to that. Anyway, yeah, wrap the stream up. We've been interrupting too much.